All right. We will go ahead and get started here. We'll now call the City Council regular meeting to order for January the 12th. Please outrise for the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance. The invocation will be given by District 1 County Commissioner Kevin Roberts.
Thank you for the honor to pray before the City Council. Let's bow our heads. Gracious Heavenly Father, this public service is such an important responsibility, and we're thankful that we have leaders that will step up to the plate, so to speak, and agree to give honor and glory to you while serving our community. And we just ask for special blessings on the proceedings going on tonight. And we see we have somewhat of a full house, and we thank you that there's interest in city government, and we pray that they will feel like they're listened to, and their thoughts and their words are taken into consideration, and just help us to, no matter what we say and no matter what we do, to give all the glory and honor to you as the source of life. We say these things in the precious name of Jesus. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, if you will please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Here.
Councilmember McKeer?
Yes. I mean, here. I don't know why I did that
Again.
again. Here.
Yes, you are.
Councilmember Taylor?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Here.
Mayor Anderson?
Here. Thank you very much. All right, first up, we have a special presentation by the Vietnam veterans and Korean Wars veterans killed in action. We'd like to redo that granite marker on the mall. We have Donald Laycock with us here tonight. Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Donald Laycock, past resident of Avon Park, lived at 601 South Verona for many years.
Welcome back.
Thank you. I want to thank you for allowing me to make this presentation. I'm here tonight to ask the administrators of Avon Park to complete what was started over 20 years ago by the American Legion Post 69, which is the etching of the names of the men who gave their lives so that you and I will have freedom. The etching needs to be done on an existing monument. It's a three-sided monument. It's like in the shape of an obelisk, and it's just north of the 50-foot flagpole that's on the mall. You'll have all the names of the 8 men from Vietnam. There was 2 from Korea, and we just found the single name from World War I. He was a veteran, Private Morass Williams from Avon Park, and I gave you each a piece of paper.
Yes, sir.
And I want to thank the Sea Services Museum for doing that research so quickly for us. My wife and Judy are both APHS graduates. We knew and went to school with all of the 8 men who gave their lives.
Wow.
Curtis Cothran was my wife's first cousin. She also lost another cousin that lived in Sebring, which is his last name was Hill. Jimmy Green was Avon Park Council Lady Michelle McClure's uncle. Roy Cobb is kin to the Cobbs of Avon Park, which I'm sure you're kin to the Cobbs also.
Yes, sir.
And I'm sure the others who were lost still have relatives in the Highlands County. We tried to get a hold of one of the brothers that's still here, but he couldn't make it tonight. All of the heroes' names must not be forgotten, and their stories of how they lost their lives must be told to all, but in particular to our children and the young folks, so that they will know why and how we are free in these United States of America. I know I don't have time to tell the stories of all the 8 or all the 11, but I encourage you to read all of their stories. They're online, and it's quite telling of their courage, and it's quite telling. In regard to the cost to engrave the monument, the names on the monument, we have secured a not-to-exceed price of $900 from the company that does this type of work for Greg Nelson at Stevenson Nelson Funeral Home. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Byron Grant, Commander of Post 69.
Yes, sir.
Okay. First of all, being as this monument was dedicated to you guys on November 11th, 1984, it became the property of the city of Avon Park. We are seeking your permission to do these engravings in remembrance of our fallen comrades. The expenditure will be paid by the American Legion Post 69. But being the property is yours, we would like to get permission to do so.
I don't think that'll be a problem. Any questions for either of these two gentlemen? Okay. Well, yes. I'd like to make a motion to approve the monument renaming.
I'll happily second that.
We have a motion, we have a second. Do we have any further questions? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Councilmember Marker?
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes. Thank you. Up next, we have the consent agenda. This will be for items 6 through 10. Does any council member wish to remove any of these items?
I would like to remove C7 just for a couple clerical errors.
Okay.
And I'd like to remove C6.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve items 8, 9, and 10?
So move.
We have a motion. Do we have?
I'll second Jim's motion.
We have a second. Any questions? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Councilmember Marker?
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes. All right, start with item number 6.
On page 23 of the packet, it says ordinance 28-2025 on number 17. It has me voting yes, and I voted no on that.
Okay, any objections to that change? Seeing none. Do we have a motion to approve item number 6?
I'll make a motion to approve it with the change mentioned.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Please call the roll.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Item number 7.
The first error is on the first page of the minutes. It's Darren Hood, Sergeant Darren Hood instead of Daryl Hood. And then for the consent agenda, the motion was to approve items 7 through 10 and 12 of the consent agenda. Items 11 and 13 were taken out and voted on separately.
Okay, do we have any questions on those changes? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve C7 with the noted changes.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Last call for questions. Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Councilmember Marker?
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes. I would just like to thank the staff for getting on this air condition problem that we had. We clearly no longer have that problem. It is working well. It was very hot here Saturday, so. All right, item number 11. This will be the FDOT jurisdictional transfer and FDOT lane repurposing project. We have a speaker. Mr. Tom Macklin.
Allow me to pass these out first.
Okay. Is there anything from staff to preface this, or?
Can you make sure your microphone's on? Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, so there's, for this FDOT jurisdictional transfer, Mr. Macklin approached us about this and wanted to have a conversation about it. It will be coming back January 26th with all the relevant data, with the cost, with pros and cons, similar to how we did the airport. So that'll be coming back in front of you for y'all to review. But because of how late it went into having meetings with FDOT and getting the cost verified from FDOT, we just end up putting it as a discussion. It's not to drag it along. Mr. Macklin, he could speak on it, and then we can go over it. There's actually it's a road jurisdiction transfer agreement that finalizes the transfer from DOT over to the city. And when I found out that this was still in play, I wanted to make sure it came back to everybody, and Mr. Macklin likely caught that as well. And so we're just proceeding to give y'all as much information. Well, he's going to give you the information. I'll provide the relevant data on the 26th. Thank you, Mr. Macklin.
Very good. Mr. Macklin, go ahead.
Tom Macklin, 609 County Road 64 East here in Avon Park, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to this. As the interim city manager mentioned, you will be hearing more about this, but as much as I wanted you to hear as early on as I found out what I have, I also wanted to be able to share it with the rest of the folks here as well.
Absolutely.
And so it's kind of a walk back down memory lane, and you all were, for the most part, all a party to this, so it's important. But back in January of 2023, at the request of the city, in December of 22, Renaissance Planning came and gave a presentation to the city council and those who were here regarding the possibility of being able to do a lane repurposing project, as you'll remember, on Main Street, kind of reimagining Main Street with paint, if you will. And much of that was done through public meetings over at the Jacaranda, both in March and then again early May. And then at the end of May 25th of 23, you all, in a 3-2 vote, approved a resolution, which I believe you have a copy of in your packet I saw online. And during all of these conversations and as a part of that resolution, there was never any conversation about the city of Avon Park taking over ownership of Main Street, although they identified the project, from State Road 17 from Highway 27 to Delaney down here. That was the scope and scale of the project through that entire process. Also included in their early January of 2023 studies was a quite voluminous traffic study that they did. In fact, there were over 360 pages of documentation, both text and traffic studies and the type of traffic, and all of that ended up being a component of your comprehensive plan, which was interesting to me. I find it in planning zoning on the comp plan. But all that being said, as we move forward in time, and we ended up with it because that process began with Mark Schrader as the city manager at the time. And as Dr. Kelly came on in late September of 2024, it seems like, and this is only, you all had more conversations with her than I did, and so I won't put any words in anybody's mouth, but it seems like early in 2025, there began conversations between the FDOT, the Board of County Commissioners, the City of Sebring, and the City of Avon Park about jurisdictional transfers of the roadway. Although it never came back to you all that I can find, and certainly it seemed to be a bit of a mystery to those of you who were at the public hearing December 2nd of 2025 at the library, of which there were 4 of you were there. So all of a sudden, and it seems sudden, but it really over that period of time, it migrated from, hey, we're going to come in and do what they called a 3R project and repaint the lines to customize it to the desires of the citizenry and the council, to, if we're going to do this, you have to take over ownership of Main Street. Not only Main Street, because according to Kyle Purvis in a conversation that I had with him on the 29th of December of this, or last year now, they've changed their policy. This is him to me. They changed their policy where they no longer do lane repurposing without a jurisdictional transfer. It would require the city to take over ownership, not only of Main Street, but because the DOT doesn't like to create dead ends in state roads, that in order for the city to get new paint stripes as requested, we would have to take over from Highway 27 all the way through Main Street up to the top of the hill here at Memorial, south on Memorial to Cornell, and then east on Cornell all the way out to where County Road 17A intersects with 17, which is the truck route corner. So instead of a 1 mile section that they were going to repaint without us being required to take over ownership, now we would have to, in order to get the paint stripes that we had decided that would work for us as a community, we'd have to own that 2.5 miles of roadway. That basically came to us on December 2nd at the public hearing that the FDOT had at the library. And there were a number of us who walked in the room, and we thought, based on the communication that was on the city's website that showed pictures of the lanes in the zones 1, 2, and 3 that we were familiar with, but there was something else up there. And Mr. Purvis said, oh yeah, this is not anything to do with the lanes. This is about transferring ownership of all of these roadways to the city of Avon Park. And this is just to receive public input. We're not going to take any questions, and we're not going to answer any. If you want to ask us anything about it, you can stay after the meeting and we'll talk to you then. And so that ended up being what, there were 3 of us in the room that spoke that night, and there was 1 on Zoom. And I was just amazed that we were being asked to do that. And if you look at the handout that I gave you, late in the afternoon of December 2nd, 2025, the day of the public hearing, I guess as a result of receiving a number of phone calls from citizenry asking about the public hearing, there was an update placed on the City of Avon Park's website, and it's big, and it was in red with white bold letters, and I'm going to read it to everybody here. It said, the FDOT meeting today is referenced the transfer of ownership of Main Street, not restructuring lanes. That was posted late in the day. That's the first indication that I can tell, at least in print, that this was about ownership. But even if you read that, it's ownership of Main Street. It doesn't even identify the extra 1.5 miles of road that was never a part of the lane repurposing plan. I would also mention to you here that there's several letters that were referenced on a podcast that I did with Barry Foster on his YouTube show that originated, and it's quite interesting, and I want to read it for the public and read it into the record. This one is dated February 10th, 2025, and as an aside, there was a city council meeting that night, and Jason, whether you remember or not, but Dr. Kelly mentioned, this is Jason Atkinson's last meeting with us tonight. He's leaving and so on. So it coincided with that, but it completely unrelated, but it was at the same time. And the letter was to Mr. Kyle Purvis, the Systems Planning Administrator at the FDOT, and it's reference request for transfer. Dear Mr. Purvis, this letter shall serve as the City of Avon Park's official request to begin the process of transferring portions of, and it said State Road 64 and ancillary roadways as depicted on the enclosed graphic. And it goes on to say, staff reviewed the proposed transfer limits and agrees to start working on negotiating the roadway transfer agreement. If you require any additional information, please don't hesitate to contact me directly. And it's signed by Dr. Kelly. There's another letter there. And to me, any type of a negotiation along those lines should have certainly at least came back to City Council and said, the rules, it seems, have changed with the FDOT. If we're going to get what we want on Main Street, there's a whole lot more that we're going to have to take over as a part of the process. There's another letter that followed that one from the Board of County Commissioners to Kyle Purvis, and I'll read it. Reference request for jurisdictional transfer of Sebring Parkway from US 27 to State Road 17 and County Road 17A from US 27 to State Road 17 from Highlands County to the Florida Department of Transportation. It reads, Dear Mr. Purvis, on March 4th, 2025, at its regular board meeting, the Highlands County Board of County Commissioners unanimously agreed to move forward with the transfer process from Highlands County to the FDOT of the Sebring Parkway, and I've already mentioned those roadways. As depicted on the maps attached here too, please accept this letter as Highlands County's official request for FDOT to commence the process to transfer maintenance jurisdictions accordingly, should you have any more questions, so on and so forth. And this is signed by Lori Herner, who's the county administrator, J.D. Langford, the assistant county administrator and the acting county engineer, and carbon copied were all 5 of the commissioners who voted unanimously for that portion of the transfer. Now, one would ask, why is this transfer required? At least, how does it involve the Board of County Commissioners? Well, the plan, should the city of Avon Park take over State Road 17 and turn it into a municipally owned and maintained roadway from US Highway 27 all the way out to the truck route, the state needs to provide continuity for State Road 17. If we did that, the county would be handing over County Road 17A, which is the truck route from US Highway 27 and Stryker all the way around the clay pits and back down to State Road 17. So they were going to hand over a roadway in order to provide continuity for State Road 17. The county is going to win. The city is going to take on a tremendous expense and liability of adding 2.5 miles of roadway to get new paint on a mile of Main Street that was never communicated to us as a citizenry, and I don't believe to you all as an entity that was going to be part of the process. So I'm very concerned in having spoken with Mr. Purvis about this at length. And he said he was really surprised because we had conference calls every month. Every month we talked about these things. He said it was either late in the year of 2024, but certainly early 2025, all the way up through October of 2025, but not in November and December because of the holidays with Thanksgiving and Christmas. He said, I was under the impression that the city council knew. He said it wasn't until after I've started having conversations with the interim city manager here that it became apparent to him that these changes had not been effectively communicated to the city council. And I think that's why we all kind of had the deer in the headlights look when we attended the public hearing at the library again back on December 2nd of now last year. So this jurisdictional transfer is required for the FDOT to move on with anything on Main Street beyond their normal resurfacing, rehabilitation work that they had in their work plan. So you have the options that Mr. Atkinson will be speaking to, it sounds like, at the next meeting. One of the original ones was no build, meaning they're going to come in and do the work that was on their scheduled plan, and they'll put the stripes back in like they are today, and they will continue to own it and maintain it, and it will be business as usual. The other would be that you would have to adopt this jurisdictional transfer, taking over ownership of that 2.5 miles that I mentioned, and all of the joy that goes along with the ownership and maintenance thereof, by February 27th. Not counting tonight, that's 3 more meetings. That's their drop dead date. And so I bring this forward to you tonight because I think it's important. It's sad to me that you all didn't have an opportunity as the city council and representatives of all of these people and many more who had very high hopes that you have to, you're going to have to be the ones to weigh the cost against the benefits. We heard on Saturday, you heard it, I was here. There were some of the candidates that said, City of Avon Park's budget is bleeding money. And so is that another expenditure and a liability that is a forever and ever amen type arrangement? Because I remember multiple times in watching the meetings, Jim, where you had asked Mr. Purvis and the gentleman from Renaissance Planning, if we decide that this isn't working out for us in, 3, 4, 5 years or so, can we go back? Oh, yeah. We might not be able to do it in the first few years, but certainly you can, as the work projects come down the line, you can look at going back, and we could do that. But that would have required them to retain ownership, and there was never anything about conveying it to the city of Avon Park as being a requirement of paint stripes. And so I bring this to you tonight. I would have loved to have had the opportunity to interact with the Board of County Commissioners with a JPA of some type situation where if you did still want to take it over, and you yet still may. You're going to have to commit to that very soon. But as the Board of County Commissioners is going to be handing over not just County Road 17A around the truck route, but they're working on the Sebring end from North Ridgewood on down to Highway 27 by the hospital on the south end of town. Sebring and the county will be handing that over, and Sebring will be taking 17 through town because they see where it's a benefit to them. They have a joint agreement between the two of them for maintenance right now. But we could have worked with the Board of County Commissioners had we had time, perhaps, to see if there was a way that they would share in the expense of some of these roadways. Just the same as the state doesn't like dead ends, I can easily see where it could have been argued that County Road 64 up here at the top of the hilltop, County Road 64 begins there and goes on out towards the bombing range, where then it becomes Polk County Road 64. We could have argued or made the case for, hey, let's extend County Road 64 back through town out here to US Highway 27, where it would intersect with State Road 64. That'd make sense to have a state road and a county road meet one another at 27 and share responsibilities here. Just the same way, County Road 17A, but the four-way stop, I still call it Freeze King, even though the Freeze King's not there anymore. County Road 17A starts there and goes south, Memorial Drive. You could have easily extended, or at least negotiated with them, let's bring County Road 17A on up here to County Road 64 at the top of the hill, and had shared maintenance expense there. It would have made sense for these county roads to have intersected with one another as far as junctions instead of just being dead ends. So you've got a lot of thinking to do. I'm sorry that I've taken as much of your time with a very full agenda this evening, but I felt it was important to get this out in front of you as early as I found out the details. And I'm sorry that you didn't know sooner.
Yeah, we'd
Well,
have to get you in the microphone there.
Maria Sutherland, 900 West Main. It was always my impression since at least the end of 2024, when I was running for office, that this was going to be a transfer as a requirement if the city was going to accept the remodeling of downtown with the sidewalks and everything, similar to, there's a grant called an FHBC, Florida Highway Beautification Council. The DOT gives you money, 100,000 I think it is, and in lieu you end up no longer accepting their funds to maintain it. And there are segments of Highway 27 that the city of Avon Park no longer gets money for from the FDOT because we took ownership through one of these grants. And it was my impression that this was similar to an FHBC, where they're going to resurface the road, they were going to reconfigure the sidewalks, and in return we were going to have to accept transfer. Could this be, and I'm just asking, because I'm not in favor of the revamping. I prefer that the way it is. That's just me, because the expense of taking on the ownership of Main Street is going to be exorbitant. But was this a precursor in the eyes of the few that perhaps no one else knew? Because I remember having a conversation with Councilman Bernard, I believe in August or September, and he was aware of a transfer, because I even brought it up. You know, are we going to have to mill the road for they said they were going to mill it for 2 inches and then resurface it 2 inches. And I asked, well, why don't they mill it for 4 inches and resurface it 2? Because already if you do another layer in 15 years, you're going to have streets higher than your actual manholes. And then we have the same problem that we had when they resurfaced it last time, which is now your street is going to be almost equal to the height of your curb and your sidewalk. And the flooding starts all over again. And then we own it, and then we have to maintain it. And then you're going to have flooding. And is the FDEP going to help us with that? Is FDOT going to help us with that? And the answer would be no, because we own the street. So there was never a projection that I saw. And when I spoke to Dr. Kelly, I believe it was in January of 2025, she had told me that it was a 2-inch mill with a 2-inch resurface, and part of the transfer was the caveat that the DOT required, because we're going to do all this work for you, and in return, you're going to own the street. So I don't know if there's any grants that would just do this. I know that the T21's way back when. I don't know if the SCOPs do it or not, but are there grants that we could get from the DOT that would not require us to take ownership of it? I know CDBGs do that, but you'd have to go in increments to do that, but it has to be a long plan. But overall, you know, if I knew it was a transfer back in January of 25. So I thought it was a done deal. I've seen videos of McGuire and Anderson talking about the revamping of downtown, and I know Galen Thomas was in the video as well about how it's going to improve the walkability and whatnot of downtown. I've always said take a mall and turn it into a parking lot and leave the sidewalks alone, but I know that they're talking about revamping the sidewalks as well as redoing the streets in order to have slower traffic going through.
Yeah, the sidewalks won't change. None of the actual curbing will change.
And so if you end up taking ownership of the street, I mean, there are still stripes that didn't get done the last time they paved. Even when I sat here, even when I worked here, we begged DOT to come in and stripe, and there are still some areas that are just invisible. But nonetheless, if it does get repaved, by any means, even if you do take ownership, it shouldn't be 2 to 2, it should be 4 to 2.
Yeah. So it will get, that is one option, is for it to be repaved without us taking ownership.
Yeah, and to Ms. Sutherland's point, I think it's important to understand that therein lies a lot of the confusion, because her understanding was in fact that there was going to be sidewalk work. But you all will remember, and I've watched, I can't even begin to tell you how many hours of YouTube videos of your CRA advisory board meetings and your CRA board meetings and your joint meetings as CRA and then your council meetings where they were adamant, we might do a little work on some of the crosswalks, but very little, only if it was necessary. But there was never any conversation, although when a question was asked about sidewalks, no, that's not a part of that process. This is 3R on the road surface, and most usually not only will it won't do any crosswalks, but it won't do any curbing either. And I remember some of the conversations that you're referencing with the T21, and for those who don't know what T21 is, Transportation Enhancement Act of the 21st century. And there were a lot of components to the T21 projects, but those were grants that you would have to apply for, and right, there's big time competition, and that was never part of this. Right. You know, it was really just paint stripes. The first time that I heard any public comments about when you own Main Street, the first one was, I want to say it was April 24th of 2025 at a CRA advisory board meeting right here. And Dr. Kelly mentioned to the advisory board in passing, when we own Main Street, we'll be able to do this, that, and the other thing, as if it was a foregone conclusion that it was going to be done. Mm-hmm. And then a month or so after that, there was a joint meeting between you all sitting as the CRA and the advisory board where it also came up in similar context, and one of the things that was referenced was sidewalk activation grants, I think was the terminology that Ms. Carlson used. So it was understood at the admin level that this was something that they were working on, jurisdictional transfer. They're having conversations on a monthly basis with the FDOT on conference calls that included the city of Sebring and representatives from the Board of County Commissioners. But sadly, it seems you all didn't get the news. And so I'm just sharing it with you. It's awfully late in the game. You're working on a hard break with February 27th, and I know that the mayor and the interim city manager met with Mr. Purvis, I guess a week ago today-ish. But you'll have more information to share with them. But I'm sorry. I know there's a lot of people had their hats hanging on this, you know, as far as downtown beautification and enhancements to their businesses, but you have a fiscal responsibility, a fiduciary responsibility to the city, and you have to weigh them all. So I appreciate your time, and I'm sorry I took so much of it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr.
Just for
Macklin.
the record, I'd like to make one comment. I don't recall any conversation with anybody about ownership of Main Street, let alone ownership of Main Street and beyond to the truck route. I might have thought we might be taking over the mall area and do what we want without permission, but I don't recall, with all due respect, any conversation with anybody, let alone anybody from FDOT. And I'm pretty sure we never voted on the fact, this council never voted that we were going to take over that. So
Sure.
that's what I recall, but I'm the senior up here.
No, we definitely never voted to actually take ownership of Main Street. One of the things that had to happen is we had to know what the cost differences would be, which we will know very shortly, what they will be if we don't already have that information. But definitely we'll be presenting at the next council meeting, and we'll be able to have all the facts and make the final decision there. So, anything else on this topic?
That's it. Thank you.
All right, item number 12. This will be the second transmittal hearing for ordinance 25-2025.
I'll go ahead and read the short title. An ordinance of the City of Avon Park, Florida, amending the future land use element of the City of Avon Park Comprehensive Plan, specifically amending Policy 1.6 pertaining to the city's downtown commercial future land use category, providing clarity on municipal uses and allowing for a residential density up to 40 dwelling units per acre for multifamily developments, providing for transmission to Florida Commerce for review and compliance, providing for severability, providing for conflict, and providing for an effective date.
Yes, sir. Mr. Schmucker.
Yep. Good evening, Council. Jeff Schmucker, Central Florida Regional Planning Council. We are back before you. This is a second transmittal hearing tonight. If you all recall at your November meeting, we brought some amendments forward, both to the comprehensive plan as well as the land development code with regard to increasing density for development in the downtown. The reason this is back before you all for a second transmittal hearing, after that approval at City Council in November, we're required to send the amendment to the comp plan to the state for a 30-day review. In lieu of the state finding us out of compliance, we did have a call with the state. Essentially, we were deemed to be out of compliance with a Senate bill, which a lot of you may be familiar with, Senate Bill 180. The language that was proposed in the downtown commercial future land use policy was provided for clarity, and essentially it allows for single-family and multifamily residential development. We went as far as saying single-family attached units. And the reason we did that was because the C4 zoning district, which is the companion zoning district for the downtown commercial area, only allows single-family detached units. So we were just trying to provide some clarity in the comprehensive plan. However, because of Senate Bill 180, they deemed that to go too far. It's too restrictive or too burdensome as an amendment to the city's comprehensive plan. So what we have in front of you tonight, and we worked with the state, in lieu of having that rejected at the state, we are bringing it back before you all tonight. We're simply removing the words attached units. The policy will go back to single-family and multifamily development. If this gets approved tonight, we'll send this to the state for 30-day review. Once we get the confirmation from the state, at that point, then we'll bring back the comprehensive plan for adoption, but we'll bring the land development code portion of it too. And we know we have some changes that we need to make based on comments from council and the land development code portion, but that's been the holdup at this point. We got dinged by the state because of 180. We're making this minor amendment, thus the second transmittal hearing. We'll transmit this to the state, and we'll be back probably February, maybe first meeting in March.
So,
with
just for clarification, that when you say second transmittal here, this is a first reading?
It's
so
a first.
We did the first reading didn't work. We're going to do a first reading again.
We're doing a transmittal hearing tonight, and I'm just calling it. It's the second time we're taking the transmittal
Just wanted
hearing.
to clarify for the
Yes,
record.
yes, sir.
Any questions? Do we have a motion to approve ordinance 25-2025?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire.
Yes.
Councilmember Merker.
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard.
Yes.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes. Thank you. Item number D13, this will be ordinance 27-2025.
An ordinance of the City of Avon Park, Florida, amending the Avon Park Comprehensive Plan, specifically amending the infrastructure conservation, intergovernmental coordination, and capital improvements element based on the city's 10-year water supply facilities work plan incorporated herein, providing for transmission to the Florida Commerce for review and compliance, providing for severability, providing for conflict, and providing for effective date.
All right, again, Jeff Schmucker, Central Florida Regional Planning Council. This is second reading tonight of the city's amendments to the comprehensive plan with regard to the 10-year water supply plan. Just a note, this was reviewed by the state, no comments from any state agencies. And again, the amendments are, they're really housekeeping items in the elements that the city attorney had mentioned in the short title. We'll stand to answer any questions you all have.
Okay, do we have any questions? Seeing none, we'll now open the public hearing for ordinance 27-2025. Public hearing is now open. Anyone wishing to speak on this ordinance can now do so. Seeing no speakers, the public hearing for ordinance 27-2025 is now closed. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve D13 ordinance 27-2025.
I'll second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Councilmember Merker?
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes. Item number 14 will be a public hearing, second and final reading for ordinance 30-2025.
An ordinance to amend the city code, chapter 14 of the city code, animals, to update definitions, et cetera, update statute and administrative code references, streamline and modify the previous code, providing for changes and additions to definitions, providing for changes to administration and enforcement procedures, providing for changes to impoundment procedures and fees, providing for changes to regulation of animals, providing for changes to penalties and changes to hearing procedures, providing for codification, repeal of conflicting codes, ordinances, and resolutions, providing for severability, scrivener's errors, and effective date.
All right. Do we have any questions for ordinance 30-2025? Seeing none, this will be a public hearing. So the public hearing for ordinance 30-2025 is now open. Anyone wishing to speak on this issue can now do so. Seeing no speakers, public hearing for ordinance 30-2025 is now closed. We'll be looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Go ahead. Okay, I'll make a motion to approve D14 ordinance 30-2025.
I'll second, please.
We have a motion. We have a second. Please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Councilmember Merker?
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes. Thank you. Item number 15 is to be resolution 2026-01, establishing the Avon Park Executive Airport Advisory Board.
Resolution of the City of Avon Park, Florida, establishing the Avon Park Executive Advisory Board, stating the purpose and jurisdiction thereof, providing for composition, appointment, terms of office, duties, and procedures of the board, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Jason, do you have anything to add there?
This is pretty long. Do you want me to go through the whole thing as far as what we're doing tonight on the resolution? So anywhere you see on the agenda item summary where we speak about, it says ordinance, I just replace that with resolution, but it's 2-3 pages. You want me to read through the whole thing?
I don't think that's necessary.
Okay,
Obviously, the
so-
overview here is that we're establishing the Avon Park Executive Airport Advisory Board after the events that have happened at the airport recently. There's the names of the individuals that are proposed. I believe there's 7 of them. They're in the packet. So I would just ask, is there anything to add in addition to that?
No, it's, the community definitely wanted airport board, and so did the council. I think it's a great idea. It'll help us out with our decision-making, plus additional oversight with our team that's currently out there now. So we're able to get, it's another item coming up, 7 people that already put in their application for it, but we need to go ahead and just establish the board, and then once the board's set and at a later date, we'll establish the bylaws and put the rules in place and get everyone's buy-in, who's on the board, and we'll address it that way.
First step in that direction. We have any questions about the establishing the airport? Advisory board?
I do.
Go ahead.
Now, how is the liaison to that board? We're gonna have a council member be a liaison? I don't know who that's directed at. Feel free for anybody.
I mean, the city manager could be the liaison.
Yeah, so we have staff liaison. So, yeah, we will have an airport manager. So obviously, they will be at all the meetings and intimately involved there. I mean, if it's the council's purview, I guess, if we want to insert that, I'm not sure that I necessarily see the need for it.
You don't see the need for a liaison?
Not necessarily, because anything that goes on that's major would have to be voted on by us anyway.
Well, they're advisory, so wouldn't everything have to be voted on
Right.
us, by us?
I think the idea is that we were trying to get individuals that had aviation experience and had a heart for the Avon Park Airport to come up with a new vision for what the airport is going to be capable of and what they'd like to see out there. So hopefully this group of people will do just that.
Okay, so for the record, I'd still like to see one of us, somebody on this board, be a liaison. We have one for every single other one. We have one for the Housing Authority. We have one for P&Z. We have one for CRA. So anyway, and also too on page one.
Let me piggyback on that, Miss Shelley. I'm with Shelley. I think that if we have a liaison for every other board that we have in this city, this shouldn't be no exception, regardless of whether you think, it's necessary or not. We have one for all of them. We might as well have one for this one as well.
Sure. All the meetings are indeed public, so they'll be able to.
Somebody wants to volunteer?
What?
Would you like to volunteer?
I'll give that a little bit of thought.
Would you like to volunteer?
If Shelley volunteer, I'll be the alternate.
Are you
Or-
killing me?
I'll volunteer and you be the alternate.
That'll work.
That'll work.
Okay. Any other comment on the?
Yes, on page 136, actually, I think it's 137, but anyway, it's paragraph C, terms. Initial appointment will be staggered. Example, 3 members for 2 years, 4 members for 3 years. No member shall serve more than 3 consecutive terms. So how do we decide which members are going to be the ones that serve for 2 years and the other 4 for 3 years?
Pick them.
So aren't the 3 members that are serving for 2 years going to be kind of slided a little bit because the other ones are serving 3?
It's fairly typical startup of a board.
So that can be changed later on,
No,
according to their bylaws or whatever? No?
that's the initial
Okay,
period.
okay.
It would be.
But, I mean, you can change it any time. It's that the will.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but they wouldn't be 2 years forever. It's just that some would have to serve 2 years in the initial term.
The term would be what the term states in the.
It just says initial appointments shall be staggered, so
Right.
3 members for 2 years, 4 members for 3 years. So in 2 years, then those would be for 3, which would make it 5, whereas the other ones would be 3 and then 6, so the numbers would never line up so that you don't replace your entire board at the same time.
Right. That's.
I
Very
get
good.
that. I was just curious how we decided who gets the members that start for 2 years.
We could ask them to volunteer if there's anyone who wants to volunteer to start off. If you just want to do the first 3 year and then go from there.
And if you have, it looks like you've got 2 seats for number 1, 2 seats for number 2, 2 seats for number 3. So if we could try to get a volunteer from each of those sections, and then that way we're always still represented in each of those areas.
Jerry, does this board, are they gonna be under the sunshine?
Yes.
Okay, so they need to make
Public
sure.
records.
They need to
Sunshine.
make sure they're aware of that. As volunteers.
Yeah, the staff would need to make sure that they know that. If they have any questions, they can certainly call me. I'll be happy to do that.
Okay. Anything else?
So our staff would be the one to take the notes and host the meetings, correct?
Ordinarily. Is there any reason why staff wouldn't be doing that function?
Yeah, we can provide that, to have the airport manager do that. Because they need to be fully integrated in the process anyways.
And I know this may be early, Jason, but where would the meetings be held? Here or airport?
There's space in the airport. We have plenty of space to do it out there, but if they're usually public, then I would suggest doing them here.
Which it states in here on your point before. It says the airport manager is typically designated as the non-voting secretary to keep the minutes and act as the staff liaison. So,
I saw that.
Plus, we have everything in here to do the recordings and all the hardware's
Yeah.
in here. This is the best place to do it.
Agreed. Is there any input from citizens? This was a very hot button issue at the time. So. Yes.
Tom Macklin, 609 County Road 64 East here in Avon Park. I think this is, as I mentioned earlier when we talked about this a few meetings ago, this is an outstanding first step. And actually, we've already taken the first step. This is a great follow-up step. I remember historically how valuable the airport committee was, what great leadership they had in it. We did, ladies, have, to your point, a council liaison and staff, and I think that's the right way to go. But I'm really encouraged and look forward to getting this implemented. I know you've got, no doubt, have to have some great people in your packet, and it's a great follow-up to the first step.
You have any input into the structure of the advisory board?
Having sat in the seat that you are in right now, ordinarily, the recommendations to boards and committees came from the mayor's seat. I would suggest, and we always appointed each member individually, not as a group. But I'm sure Jerry would let you say, as you're starting this up, there's no problems with, any of the parties that are on there doing that as a body is probably acceptable. But I would probably defer to you as to which ones have the staggered positions by recommendation. But that being the case,
So,
Okay.
basically, based on your code, the mayor shall appoint all committees, boards, and commissions other than those provided elsewhere, subject to approval of the city council.
yeah,
So it's a advice and consent type situation.
and that's as I remember it, so, yeah. As long as no one has a problem with any of the applicants, and I'd find it hard to believe you would.
Thank you very much.
Mayor, I got some information I want to put out on reference to this. I talked to Jason today in regard to this new job description, and I couldn't understand, why is it that, the new, advisory board to the airport, why they didn't get an input in on the job description? I mean, and the reason why I'm asking that, like I told Jason today, I know we have this, the staff out there, and at the time, we didn't even know if we had anybody in the city that had that kind of experience, meaning working for the city. And so we found out that, it was him. But you're talking about a lot of aviation guys. I looked at, the application, and some of them have planes, and, they got to have a lot of information about aviation. So I couldn't understand why is it a description was made for the job without passing it by them first? I think they could have put a lot of input into that job description, which to me would have made a whole lot of sense before we even get it.
Sure. I mean, I guess my point is that you have to start somewhere. They obviously will be able to make any suggestions that they wish.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is, didn't we supposed to be approving it tonight? And I couldn't understand why we approving it without them having a chance to even look at it.
Sure. Well, it's coming up at a later item, so I'm not necessarily that understanding that the establishing the Avon Park Executive Airport Advisory Board would affect that item coming up. I don't see a conflict of going ahead and looking at this item before we skip ahead.
And I'll just provide the input there. We currently have one assigned airport employee out there, and that's Jeremy that's working out there. So getting the ball rolling to get additional staff. Originally, we were looking at a contractual management, which would have gave us more time and more employees to go out there and service the airport. And so looking at it, like trying to have redundancy if an employee's out, if Jeremy's sick, then we need to have someone else there. So that's why we tried to move forward with these positions. At least I understand Councilwoman Taylor's point perfectly, but the reason, like the expediency behind this, is that we need to have people out at the airport, and it'd be nice if, like, we were walking into this and we knew 3 months from now, and then we can establish a board, get everything, but this is where because we need to staff it now. And we have someone there, we're getting by, but Jeremy needs that assistance, and he needs to take a lunch break, and he may have a sick day. And so there's 3 other positions besides that one position to, which we'll speak about it when we get there, but that was the reason from my standpoint, after hearing from the council, that we move forward with that.
Jason, I understand we do need somebody out there if something happens to Jeremy. And that's why we're doing the advisory board. But that doesn't mean that we had to go ahead and make up a description already. We could have once if we was gonna vote tonight, whether we was gonna go through with this advisory board, then why not let the advisory board help out with the description of the job? I get it. Let's go with the advisory board.
Yeah.
If we got 7 people out there and they all 7 people put in their application and they all willing to sit on this board or whatever, let's go with them. And nobody else put in for it, let's go with them. Let's give them a try. But why do we have to approve the job description tonight when we can pass that by them, the now advisory board, and let them have an input in it? That's all I'm saying.
All right. The reason behind that is if Jeremy's out and someone comes up and wants jet fuel, I can't tell the airplane, sorry, you don't have any jet fuel, or let me go grab a guy in a lawnmower and tell him to go over there and start pumping jet fuel. We have to have qualified people that we vet, where they go through the process, that they have the knowledge, that we start training, because they're going to have to, unless they've already, have the certifications when they come and apply for this job. But there's a good chance, because of the pay, that we're ultimately going to have to bring somebody along, train them, and the majority of their job will likely be is general maintenance work. So at that point, yeah. So it's prudent to do the right thing and have people out there. I get waiting, but sometimes you can't wait because we don't. That there isn't a current airport maintenance worker position out there now. We used to have an airport operations manager position, and that's somewhat what Jeremy's falling under, and he's kind of falling under that in like an emergency basis, working out of class. He's only getting an extra $1 an hour at this time. But the thing is that we need to get to that point. So hopefully when we can get the staff in there and just make sure we're doing everything that we're supposed to do, because I don't want to come back here and tell you guys we did something wrong, we pumped the wrong fuel, we did whatever it may be. We're just trying to get it to the right spot where we're doing the right thing.
And I know Denise you're the one that came up with the job description, right? Usually?
We actually had an old one on file that we pulled and reviewed with the Jason before.
Right,
we
so
submitted
it
here.
wasn't just, thought of willy-nilly or whatever. There was actually research that went into it. And I feel like if the advisory board comes online and they're like, it's really important that you add this, that, or the other, then we can amend a job description at any time. It's not like it's one and done.
Yeah, I think we need to assign somebody that position, so that's probably the best reason why we need to come up with the description tonight. And so we can give somebody that position like Jason says, so that somebody can make that, any decisions out there, especially in emergency, as well as start training people to be there in case he's not there. And I agree. It can be changed easily. The advisory board, that's what they're there for. They're advisors for, because they're the experts out there at the airport, because they all worked there, been there, done it. So we can always change the description, but I think we need to get somebody in that position as soon as possible. I mean, right now, we're kind of like basically just taking it, taking a little bit of a risk by not having somebody 100% qualified out there to management. So we need to get started as quickly as possible. So I say we move forward. You can always
Well,
make adjustments later.
I'd just say that this is a fantastic discussion that doesn't belong on this item. So that is entirely for the item that's about 5 down the line here. But right now, we're talking about establishing the Avon Park Executive Airport Advisory Board, not
Okay.
a position. So is there any more discussion on the Airport Executive Advisory Board? Okay. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2026-01.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Councilmember Merker?
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor?
No.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes. Okay. Item number 16, this will be resolution 2026-02, approving the airport lease agreement form and authorization for airport manager and city manager to execute.
Resolution of the City of Avon Park City Council, Highlands County, Florida, approving the form of airport lease agreement, authorizing the airport manager and city manager to execute individual lease agreements based on the approved form, and providing for an effective date.
Jason, you care to give an overview?
So background, FAM entered into leases with T-Hangar tenants per the Avon Park Executive Airport's lease agreement with the city. Due to FAM's default on the agreement and the city assuming control of the airport, the city is required to enter into new T-Hangar tenant lease agreements per rates established by the council. Due to the quantity and frequent nature of T-Hangar lease agreements, it is requested that the city council authorize the airport manager and city manager to enter in T-Hangar lease agreements by rates established by council. So the rates are already there, just allowing us to enter into the agreements without have to bringing them back in front of the council.
Okay. Any questions?
Yes, I have some questions. Before we enter into this lease, has anybody gone out to the airport and gone through these hangars to make sure that there's nothing out there that's being done improperly?
We believe that may be the case, that there's people out there, but we're waiting to have a little bit more teeth behind it, kind of like having an airport manager involved and staff and everyone else.
Sure. Again, this is giving the city manager and the airport manager the authority to sign leases. This is not actually proposing a particular lease for a particular hangar.
Right, I understand that, but I just want them to know that maybe before they just sign off, it should be protocol to go through these to make sure.
When someone leaves, so for instance, if there's a lease, and then we'll do frequent inspections on the hangars when we're set up to do so, and then whenever that lease is ended, then we will go through and look and make sure that the hangar's in good shape and that we receive it good. That way we can lease it out and we know it's in good shape as well.
I think what Shelley is saying is now that we're getting the airport back, we just getting it back. We don't know what they're doing out there. We have no clue. We can just only assume. So why wouldn't we go out there to check first? Now that we're taking back over the airport, that would be, I mean.
There's one employee.
Jason, what I'm saying is that we got all kind of discrepancy that took place out at the airport. And if we're gonna do this, let's do it right. How much work would it be to go out there and do an inspection of the airport? Because we are just taking it back. So if no one has done it, how hard can it be?
It's not that it's hard, it's just you need the personnel to do it. We have code enforcement that's assigned to many other tasks. We have streets and, like, I don't want to put people doing that job that shouldn't be doing that job.
Well, you don't
And
put code enforcement out there, so you might as well utilize them.
that may be an option, but they are currently doing other things. So that's, you know, you have one on the north side, one on the south side. So that's, you know, when we get the people, we get the amount, that'll be on one of the tasks that's required of the team. So there will be a team of 3 people that will be out there performing that work.
The fact of the matter is there will be no additional T-hanger leases until they're inspected.
Yeah.
You're not going to go lease out a space that someone didn't walk in to make sure that it's clean, that there's not a bomb sitting in there that the last person left. They have to be looked at in some way before there's actually a lease signed for that space. That's a given. Am I wrong in that?
No, that's accurate. And anything that we think is happening that may not supposed to happen, we are currently looking at that right now. So that is in the process.
Yes, ma'am.
I promise you.
Name and address for the record.
Sarah Piper, 100 East Main Street.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what I was suggesting, because right now, you guys honestly have no clue who's there, who's not there, what conditions they're in, or anything. So before getting into new lease agreements, signing contracts, you have to make sure who's in each unit, each hangar, and
Much like an
and not
apartment,
do-
if you're going to rent a new apartment. you're gonna-
Exactly, a house, or an apartment, or anything like that, you want to get a good handle at the very beginning, so, just my opinion.
I also
Understood.
think that's one advantage of having the advisory group, that we have members that are out there. I'm sure that they can give the proper people the information that needs things to be looked into right away. I'm sure they got eyes and ears out there already, and we got some great people on the advisory board, so we will find out any problems, I think, a lot quicker than people think.
Okay. Anything else? Resolution 2026-02.
Make a motion, we approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Last call for questions. Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Councilmember Marker?
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes?
Mayor Anderson?
Yes. All right. Item number 17 is to be resolution 2026-03.
A resolution of the City Council, City of Avon Park, addressing aviation fuel inventory, approving Jet A fuels dispensing contingency plans, and delegating authority to the city manager to purchase aviation fuel at established market rates.
So background on this, the fuel service provider for the airport at the time, FAM defaulted on the Avon Park Executive Airport Lease Agreement was AEG, that is Associated Energy Group. When the city took control of the airport, there were approximately 4,320 gallons of avgas and 788 gallons of Jet A fuel. Staff contacted AEG to find out if AEG wanted to remove the fuel from the tanks or sell the fuel to the city and credit what was in the tanks to FAM's account balance. AEG inspected the fuel and determined that the fuel met standards to be sold to the city. Jet A fuel is primarily dispensed to aircraft via a fuel truck. The city has a 3,000-gallon truck in its airport fleet. In the event we need to rent a truck on an interim basis, AG provided competitive rental rates for a 3,000-gallon fuel truck to allow the city to continue Jet A fuel dispensing with minimal disruption, and a 1,000-gallon avgas truck if needed. Our Jet A fuel truck was recently inspected by a contractor and requires multiple repairs to bring the vehicle into service. Repairs include replacement of the tires, fuel hoses, fuel valves, and the electronic control of the fuel system. The cost to purchase Jet A fuel and avgas may frequently go over the city manager's purchasing authority, and permission is being sought to allow the city manager to purchase fuel at established market rates. Staff will frequently verify fair market rates are paid for fuel. AG has demonstrated willingness to respond quickly and provide quality fuel service. We've so far working with AEG. It's been a pleasure, and they're very responsive. We're not sure where we'll be at. We're trying to see what the demand is for the small fuel truck. But if for some reason we don't need any of the fuel trucks, I was able to get basically a verbal agreement, but we're month to month. They wanted first 36 months, then they wanted a 12-month lease, and then ultimately I just said, listen, I don't want to enter into any agreements. If we don't need the truck and want to be able to turn it back and you guys could take it. And they decided that that was fine. So we're not entering into any agreements. This is just to allow us to purchase fuel and allow the city manager to go ahead and purchase fuel whenever needed. It may go over that $25,000 threshold, similar to how we pay other bills for like our solid waste, our tipping fees out at the landfill.
Okay, you have any questions? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve D17 Resolution 2026-03.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Last call for questions. Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Councilmember Merker?
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes. All right. Moving on to item number 18, Airport Advisory Board appointments. Jason, anything to
So,
add?
yeah, so the city received 7 applications for appointments to the newly established, just now, City Avon Park Executive Airport Advisory Board, and to seek formal action from the city council regarding the selection and appointments of the inaugural board members. A crucial outcome of the transition of airport management and the commitment to maximizing airport revenue is the creation of a dedicated advisory body. Staff received a strong response, totaling 7 complete applications for the inaugural Airport Advisory Board positions. Applicants possess valuable professional skills and diverse experience relevant to the airport's mission. We did look, hopefully y'all had a chance to review their applications. I know plenty of these individuals in the community. I think they're excellent, but if you want to go ahead and approve them, or if you want to wait a little bit longer to see what you get, to get more people, it's up to you all, whatever direction you state.
Sure.
Is applicant number 2 on existing board already, Charles?
Yes, Charles and Rick Hayes are both on the CRA. So it's the names of the applicants is James Renfro, Charles Lanphier, Terry Hancock, Eric Sevigny, sorry?
70.
70, I'm sorry. Ivan Alonso, Sid Fernandez, and Rick Hayes.
Thank you.
Obviously, being on the other board does not present a conflict.
No, we checked with Jerry and we were okay with that.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
I was trying to go back and find the page where it said 2 of them was from a particular area, the other 2 is from another particular area.
Yes, and then one has to be from a noise-sensitive community, which I saw that none of these were from a noise-sensitive community. So that would mean that maybe we would have to leave one of the seats open until we could have a person from that.
Well, that was only on the example that he provided. It wasn't actually part of our resolution, the noise sensitive community. And it's on page 136 at the top.
Well, it's on the application also, so that's why I was a little,
Yeah, it's a question being
Confused
asked,
about
but I thought about the same thing. So I went back and looked at our resolution. Our resolution doesn't say the noise sensitive. It just has the 4 listed at the top of page 136.
All right. So obviously, if we're picking 7, then we would have, is it 4 for 4 years and 3 for 2?
Well, one of these, the employee representative, if the employee is, that's not our actual employee. That's just another one that is representing the employee.
Originally, it was kicked around that potentially we do that, and we had somebody that we thought may be able to, but it's a determination, it's a conflict of interest on our part, so we removed that.
Okay. So one of the members will not be an employee of the
Yeah,
city.
exactly.
Okay.
so it wasn't removed in the resolution. Because under B4, it says employee representative, 1 seat.
Right. Page 136.
Yeah.
So does that actually mean an employee or somebody just representing the interest of the employees that are working out there at the airport? How
Jerry,
are
do
we
you have any
supposed to
insight?
interpret that?
Yep, no, it probably should be modified with regard to the resolution. And maybe you could just make it flexible that if available, an employee shall be on the board.
I think if we, I think the pilot aviation, maybe we just put that to 3. I think that would work out well. Instead of the employee representative, just have it as 3 seats.
Agreed.
They would have the most knowledge and help us out the most with what we need to do out of those 3 spots.
Okay, so we'll need to redo the motion for resolution 2026. Jerry, will we first have to vote to just change it or what?
Now, you do a motion to renew that, the reading of that resolution, which would be basically to amend that motion, that resolution, and then you would have in your motion to pass it a change.
Okay.
Okay,
So
so
we
I'll,
But you have to start by opening it up. Because right, it's been passed.
Sure.
okay, so I'll make a motion to renew the discussion or renew the reading of resolution 2026-01.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
All right, I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions?
Yes. Sorry, apologize, but if you would explain that to me again.
Yeah, it's basically a reconsideration of that passage. It's done at the same meeting, so it's a renewal of that, and whereas a reconsideration would have to be, a motion would have to be made, which it has been anyway, by the people that prevailed in the motion. So it's really,
We're just voting to take it back up again.
then once that's done, then you would consider the reading again and make a change, amend it.
Okay.
So then it would be at that time when we made the change and re-amended it that we would pick the,
Right.
That.
Somebody would make a motion,
Okay.
I move to pass the resolution with this change. And then it'd be as if that's what you did in the first place.
There you go. All right, so we have a motion and a second to that effect. Last call for questions. Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Councilmember Marker?
yes.
Councilmember Taylor?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes. Do we have to read it into the resolution?
Yeah, I need to pull that up in the record.
It's page 135.
135? Thank you.
We're getting there.
Almost. There we go. Okay, a resolution of the City of Avon Park, Florida, establishing the Avon Park Executive Airport Advisory Board, stating the purpose and jurisdiction thereof, providing for composition, appointment, terms of office, duties, and procedures of the board, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Now I'll be looking for a motion to approve resolution 2026-01, changing item number B4 on page 136 from employee representative 1 seat to pilot aviation representative 3 seats.
So move.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
So second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any questions? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Councilmember Marker?
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes. All right. Now to pick the actual board. Obviously, we have 7 applicants and we have 7 seats available. It would make sense that we simply pick these 7. Is there any pushback to that?
I mean, I think they pretty much all fill all 3 of those criteria as far as based on what I read in their application.
Yeah,
As far as them filling into 1, 2, and 3.
The only question would be the airport business and tenant representative. Are they all tenants or business owners out there?
Number 6 does.
Mr. Renfro is a airport business
Right.
and a tenant. Terry Hancock is a former tenant. so it looks
And
like
then
there's two.
Sid Fernandez works for a business that
And I think
is out
that
there.
Mr. Lanfear is a tenant also, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he is.
Mr. Seven, you have a tenant out there? Okay. So repeat those tenant names again. You had Sid.
Well, he works for a
He has
business
yeah,
out
he works for a
there.
business out there.
Lanifer he has a hanger listed.
Okay.
Renfro has a hanger listed.
Okay.
Terry Hancock does not. Ivan not. Eric does not.
Yeah, I think we got enough to fill the 2 seats that are required for that portion.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the rest of them do not. So I guess it's Renfro and well, Hayes does as well. So Hayes, Lanifer, and Renfro all have hangers.
Okay. So for the 4-year terms, we're going to pick 4. For 2-year terms, we'll pick 3. So
Say that again?
the idea is to
4-year
stagger them.
term.
So 4 of them will be 4 years, and then 3 of them will be 2 years.
I think it was 3 and 2. 4 3 years and 2 2 years. I mean 3 2 years.
That's what I said.
Okay. I thought
Yeah.
you said 4 years.
4
Okay.
4 years.
No. 4 for 3 years. Well, it's 3 years and 2 years, right? 4 for 3 and 3 for 2. Yes?
I got a head nod when I said it earlier. Straighten this out.
Go back to page 135.
That's gonna be on page 136.
Yeah. 3 for 2 years, 4 for 3 years.
Okay.
3 people 2 years, 4 people 3 years.
Got it. Understood, I think. Okay. So I think the airport business and tenants. We could do those for. I mean, I'd probably make them for the 3 years.
You know, they're all very qualified to do every single one of them could do this. Why don't we just go alphabetical order by their last name? Ivan, Sid Fernandez, Terry Hancock, and Rick Hayes will all do that's 4 people for 3 years. And then the rest would do for 2. Just a thought.
Let's see.
The mayor, all you need to do is say, I agree if that's what you,
Yep.
if you agree with that, and then they would have to vote on approval.
I don't know, I kinda like the idea that the tenant owners would be there longer, first time around.
Well, I agree with Jim. I think that the tenant owners and the business, they got more stake in it.
I would. That's the direction I was heading.
Yeah. I'll make that motion.
Well,
Well, hang
I'll
on.
have to do it, unfortunately.
So you,
That's the point that you all approve. Yeah, I apologize. No problem.
so you're saying that you guys are saying that you think the tenants should be the ones that are serving the 4 years?
The business and the tenants
Oh, the
will be
business.
2 of the 3. There'll be 2 of the 4 that are serving 3 years. Get that straight. Okay. So, for the airport business and tenant, that'll be serving for 3 years. 2 names will be James Renfro, Charles Lanfear. Then for pilot aviation, we're going to pick 2 more that will serve for 3 years. We will do Rick Hayes and Eric 70. All 4 of those names are for 3 years. And then for 2 years, you'll have Terry Hancock, Ivan Alonso, Sid Fernandez. Does that cover it? Melissa, did you get it all? All right. All right, so that's my suggestion. That's my motion.
It's not a motion, it's just an appointment. You need a motion to approve the appointment.
Is there a motion to approve that appointment?
I make a motion to approve that appointment, please.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Is there any questions?
I do have one question. As soon as we vote or not vote, it goes through, how long before this takes effect? Do they determine their own first meeting?
Did it have an established date?
So like if we,
Somebody needs to set up an executive session, which will be their first meeting, at which time they'll pick a chairman who will select the rest of the meetings, I guess, and call them. So you probably, the city manager can probably say, meet on such and such a date to, choose chair and vice chair.
okay.
And
The city clerk will reach out to everyone.
Perfect. All right, so we have a motion, we have a second. Last call for questions. Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Councilmember McCure?
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes. All right, item number 20.
19.
Excuse me, item number 19. Interdepartmental Executive Airport Lease Agreement for code enforcement.
It's an interdepartmental lease agreement between Avon Park Executive Airport and the code enforcement. So that because this is under the airport, all the costs have to be accounted for, and we're required to lease out any space, even if it's within local government. Now, if they're performing duties solely to the airport, then they don't get charged. There's nothing that would get charged from the general fund. So background, staff is seeking approval for an interdepartmental lease agreement between the Avon Park Executive Airport and the City of Avon Park Code Enforcement Department. This agreement formalizes the use of office space within the General Aviation Terminal Building located at 1535 State Road 64 West on a monthly basis. The Code Enforcement Department requires dedicated office space to conduct municipal operations. The Avon Park Executive Airport has available square footage within its terminal building that can accommodate these needs. This agreement establishes a formal lessor-leasee relationship between the two entities to ensure proper internal accounting and resource allocation. So on this particular position, when we came in, when I came into the city as interim, I went out there with Randy and we were looking at a few of looking at the terminal itself. And then we were also seeing some of the issues that we thought may be security issues. Randy had mentioned, hey, he could potentially assist with that, and there were different things that we came up with. He also spoke regarding the space that we currently have in City Hall, directly across from where the customer service is, and that space had 3 people in it, and they were kind of bumping elbows in there, and it was a request to get a larger space. So we had, there was a mutual benefit there for the airport as well as for the code enforcement officer. We also needed to get an employee out that would serve a clerical role, which was the clerk, the code enforcement clerk, and then we went and changed, which you'll see a little bit later, is the job description, and we changed that over to code enforcement / airport clerk. So we needed that space, but the space, that dual space, that's not in this agreement. This is just for the 2 code enforcement officers. Randy maintains his office over here in City Hall, so he is there. There is a sign that's outside the door that lets people know exactly what's going on. If they want to, if they ring the doorbell and Randy doesn't come out, he may be somewhere else, tells them that they can contact this number. And then when they contact the number, then a code enforcement officer can meet them over here. They can go out to the airport and enjoy the lovely building out there that we just fixed up. And whichever way they prefer, they can do either or. And also, if someone wants to come out and talk to a code enforcement officer, currently there's no place inside the code enforcement office that they had, not currently, but the place that they have, because there's just no space in there. So, and it's whether it be privacy, it's the airport is actually a good place to have a conversation, maybe bring out some documents on the table and show the code enforcement officers what's going on. So I do think it's beneficial to both parties, and it serves our needs to assist with some of the security measures, just to have a presence, more of a presence out there. If for some reason someone needs to keep an eye on things while another person does something, maybe they have to run to City Hall for whatever, there is somebody out there. So that's what this is in front of you for.
Questions?
Yeah, I got a question for this council. Do y'all remember this coming before us once before, when Dr. Kelly was here? And the feedback we got from the public?
Enlighten us.
Mhm.
Enlighten us.
Dr. Kelly brought this, and I talked to Jason about this. Dr. Kelly brought this before us, back in June, July? She was just getting our opinion on it and what we thought of it, and I know we got some backlash from the public. The public, thought that, and we must agree with the public because there was not a decision made on it. The public felt like, why do they have to go all the way out to the airport for code enforcement when they right here? That's what the public said. I'm not sure if anybody out in the audience remember, or if they even came up and made a comment about it. But I told Jason today, why are we reliving it? I mean, I thought the council had pretty much didn't make a decision on it whatsoever, because we heard what the public said, and we agreed with the public because we didn't make a decision on it one way or the other. But here we are months later, and we back revisiting it. Personally, I think that code enforcement should stay here. Why should a customer have to ride all the way out to the airport just to talk to code enforcement? And then you heard what he just said? Oh, we're gonna call and we're gonna wait for code enforcement to come if Randy's not here. It's a lot of time Randy ain't here. So that's the case. If Randy ain't here, then nobody's gonna be in that office. And so now they got to call out to the airport and wait for somebody to come in here to meet them. Now y'all tell me if that makes sense.
Sure.
Do you want me to read what is posted outside of code enforcement for the record?
Yes.
Let's make an accurate statement here. The City of Avon Park Code Enforcement Office has moved to the Avon Park Executive Airport located at said location. We continue to maintain the same phone numbers before, which is blah, blah, blah. The Community Standards Director, me, who oversees code enforcement and planning and zoning, still maintains an office at this location. Often members are out in the field conducting city job-related services, but are still available. With that being said, you can ring the doorbell to see if I'm in the office. If you receive no response, please call the aforementioned phone number, did not change, 452-4402, or call my cell phone number, which I put on here. If you don't wish to travel to the airport, please call me or either number, and we will have an officer meet you here to accommodate your needs in an expedient manner. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I don't recall that. I don't even know why that would have come up in June. FAM was out at the airport. Where was I supposed to put them? On the tarmac? That makes no sense. That's a false statement.
I may have my money off,
Yeah,
but it
that
did
totally inadequate.
All right. So just
I thought you said you liked the idea of having code enforcement out there to keep an eye on the
No,
people.
what I said, Jim, was I thought that because we was taking over the airport, let's go and look at the hangars to see the ones that people are renting, one that they're renting, and let's see if everything is being done by standard, by protocol. That's what I said. If they're out there, when he said, whatever he said, I said, they're already out there.
Right.
You got them out there, so let them do the inspection. How hard can it be? They sitting out there at a desk.
Sure.
They should be able to walk the grounds and do an inspection. But let's make it that you understand that what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, I don't think they should be out there. But if they're out there, they should at least be doing the inspection, because if they're not in the streets,
Okay.
then they're sitting down at their office. Why wouldn't they go out and do an inspection?
Okay.
I mean, we have the same employees, So it's not like Randy sat in the office every day anyway. So his,
Exactly.
right. So it doesn't matter if he was out there or if he was here. So if there was a receptionist that answered the door when you rang the doorbell, you still had to make an appointment with one of the code enforcement officers. So it's not any different. You call the number and you make an appointment with one of the code enforcement officers, and you either go out there or they meet you here, they meet you at your house or your neighbor's house or whoever you're complaining about.
I didn't know the
They
procedure.
meet
I
you
didn't
there.
know that you had to go to code enforcement to make an appointment.
Well-
I thought you walk in the door.
If they happen to be there, you could chat with them, but I'm sure that they're out in the field a lot more than they're in the
We're
office.
in the field 99. If you look at our stats, which will be on the next consent agenda, you're going to see we're 99% proactive. That means not sitting in the office. That means out and looking for proactive. Over 1,300 cases in 2025. 1,300. We didn't do that by sitting in the office waiting for people to call.
Sure. Well, I don't think any of us are going to be able to understand or interpret how to do your job better than you. So
Thank you.
why don't you please give us an overview of, do you think that this change would negatively affect your department? Do you think it would be a benefit?
I think it will positively, well, it already has. We had, if you remember where we were at, you had that front office that back in the day I think used to be a courthouse or something. I don't know. You had 3 people jammed in that little office. So when somebody came in through the front door and they start talking, I got 3 people talking to them because they don't know who they're talking to. One's got his back to them. It's rude to have backs to people when they walk in a room. We started getting bickering between the 3 of them because they're sitting in this little cubicle and all they do is they're around each other and little things start to fester and now they're fighting and I'm having to put out fires all the time. We had to put a camera up because we get people inside of those walls and then they want to start fighting or threatening us while they're already inside. There's no camera that has any surveillance that covers from, you don't understand, code enforcement is quasi law enforcement. We're not wearing guns, we're not wearing vests, but people get downright, as a 25-year cop, I've been cussed at and threatened as much or more now than I was when I was at the sheriff's office. People don't like to be told what to do with their property, and I get that, but they're not mad at us, they're mad at the patch because we represent a government. Okay, so there was many times when she was the only one there, and I told her, do not open that door. That is a safety issue because a woman sitting in that behind those closed doors with no camera, no alert, no panic button. I'm not doing that. I'm not putting staff in that goes against everything I believe, especially a woman. So this is optimal. Now we have a person out there that can not only do duty for code enforcement, can also serve the city of Avon Park on the airport side. I have 2 officers that now she's at a reception desk, so people know who to talk to when they walk through those front doors. And she greets them and then she tells them or sends them to where they have to be. It is a perfect situation. I brought it up. If there was something said back in the day that council said, no way, no, we won't want, I would have not suggested it. I don't remember that. If there was, I don't even understand how that would even be brought up. Fame was out there during the summer. Where would I put, that place was completely 100% full. There's nowhere to put them other than outside. So I don't even understand that statement.
Well, Randy, it happened. I'm sorry you don't
well-
understand it. It happened. It came before the council. Sorry you don't remember our.
I don't. I may not have even been here during
Well,
that.
we do have a speaker that wants to ask a question or give a comment. So if you'll give your name and address for the record, please.
Just want to make 2 points. Eric, 7998 West Main Street.
Yes.
One, just not anybody can go onto the airport. You know, there's federal regulations. Nobody can have access to airplanes. So when you have a security issue because you don't have anybody out there manning it, so I do think it's a good idea. If it's not going to be code enforcement secretary out there, you're going to have someone out there. That's one of the complaints that I've heard from fellow pilots, that they've gone out there to the airport numerous times, and there's been nobody out there at the terminal building to talk to or to greet them or anything. So that's those two points I wanted to make.
Okay. Thank you very much.
May I just add one more thing, Mayor?
Yes.
We do at least twice a day perimeter checks out there. We have already found cut fences. We have found people trespassing out there they were over there by the lawnmower racing track. We've already done that in our short tenure out there. So we do perform a security aspect of the airport as well. I mandate it. It's needed because there's a lot of stuff out there you see. You can see footprints. You can see people out there trespassing. But without accurate security measures in place, you talk about a soft target. The airport is a soft target. And this is a win-win. We see what's going on in those hangars. We know who's doing stuff. Like once we see that lease agreement and we know what they can or can't do out there, we're going to enforce it. And so it's just, I see zero, excuse me, I'm sorry, Mr. Macklin. No, I see zero negative issues. And I will send those guys, I will come back. When we're in the city, we're literally 4 minutes away from anywhere to get back to City Hall. Try to go to county and go and see if you can get into their code enforcement office. It doesn't happen. So that's all I got.
Yes, sir.
Tom Macklin, 609 County Road 64 East. And I know usually we're supposed to address our questions to the council and not to staff. And so I'll just ask, and if he happens to respond from over my shoulder.
We get it.
As far as code enforcement is concerned, do not citizens or prospective business owners or other folks interested in coming to Avon Park also approach code enforcement when they're trying to find out the ins and outs of the land development regulations and the comprehensive plans and other types of things like that, far beyond, and I like code compliance better. It's softer because really that's what they're looking for is compliance of the codes. Enforcement just has that harder hit to it. But I think when we think of the code compliance department, we always think about enforcement actions where it's always been my understanding that they reach out in ways that are entirely different than that. And I think that's probably a better location, having been at both for different reasons. If you're going to have that type of a meeting, somebody that's maybe going to put a development in or they want to know some of those other types of information, I just kind of feel that that's a good place for them, and I do like the added security, extra feet on the ground out there.
Mayor, my last thing I wanted to say on this was, tonight we may choose a new city manager, and if we don't, we'll probably choose it soon. I just think that we're making the interim city manager is making a lot of decisions, and we're not even giving. I thought that some of these decisions that's being made, we probably should wait till our new city manager come in, whoever that happens to be, and let them have an input on some of these new big changes that we're making. Because at this point right now, I don't, maybe y'all know, we don't know who the new city manager is, and then they get in and they reverse it. When only thing we needed to do was maybe give it a week. And let's see what happens. Let's see what the new city manager, and if it's happened to be Jason, then it stayed the way it is. But if it's a new city manager, they may say, no, let's put him out there. I just think that we're not giving the new city manager, whomever that shall be, an opportunity to make some of these decisions. That's all.
Okay.
So I have a question. Oh, Randy, did he leave? Oh, no, he's back there.
I'm here.
So in City Hall, there are 2 office spaces, right? The one in the front and the one in the back, which is your office, right?
It is now, yes.
Okay. So
Correct.
who is utilizing the front office?
It's vacant.
Okay, so then you're going to have all 3 of your code enforcement people out at the airport?
Correct.
In offices? Okay, how many office spaces are there?
There's vacancies out there, but I would imagine those are.
So not each person is getting an office?
Oh no, they share an office. There's
They
2 of
all
them.
3 share an office?
No, the clerk sits at the reception area, and then the 2 code officers. When you go through the lobby area to the left, there are offices, and they take one of the spaces up.
Okay. So we're going to be paying monthly rent of $3,400 for an office room, basically, of our own building, which I know that that's probably just a line item thing back and forth, but would it be beneficial, and I don't know if Ms. Taylor would agree with this, but just maybe bring one back. So one of those offices, what are we going to utilize that office for?
That would be the city manager's purview, not
I mean,
mine.
if we have an office in City Hall, why would we pay the airport fund to have $3,000, $3,400 worth of rent paid to the airport?
So this is
When
a
we
collect-
have when we have one office, I'm sorry, when we have one office that's still vacant.
So this is a collective effort. This is the opinions that came in and a thought process. We also, this was put out in an update I sent to everybody in a lengthy email December 12th. I foresee in the future the need for additional office space within City Hall. I think that we're going to ultimately need another person down there in the interim. If someone comes to speak to Randy, maybe, you know, they have something there. It's like a foyer, but I would ultimately probably think about putting that position as maybe capital improvement, a utility, a project manager, something along those lines, because we're getting millions and millions of dollars. So maybe we need somebody in that place to do that as well and have some office space. Right now, you know, I haven't ran it by Matt, but Matt's in the basement, which we made a space there. We also made a space on the other side for a fire inspector that I don't think we have. So, we're making room for what we ultimately see. So say it came up and the council wanted another idea, or I want to do building department. You want to knock a hole in the wall and end up doing a building department there. Well, now you got a building department space. I don't think Randy would be against going out, but then I would have to rent that additional office space. There is one additional office space that's, and I would implore you all to go out and look at how nice the airport looks now, the terminal building compared to how it used to look. It looked horrible. Now it looks great. You walk in there and you feel, at ease. So there's where Jeremy is, and then there's another space as well that we can lease out. I would prefer that we lease it to someone else so we can get additional revenue in. That would be my goal. But we can ultimately use that for whatever ideas that the council has in the future, and we're not hamstrung by saying we have absolutely no space. That's part of what the thought process was.
Right. So in the future, then maybe we could have two at the airport and 2 at City Hall, including the supervisor, 1 more in that building, because I don't know if it's just me, and I don't know if anybody else would agree with me, but sometimes I don't stop to read papers on doors and, go through all that stuff. I just, get irritated and walk off and go back later.
I wanted to bring something up with that. So I think it's and what we can do to our customer service staff that are right across from there. If they see anyone looking, not understanding, they can call out to them. Someone could come out and speak to that individual, or they can call upstairs to the executive assistant and say, hey, there's someone here looking, and then we can make the call. And ultimately, that person, if they don't have a cell phone, they just came in, a walk-in, that they can reach out and call over to Iris and get a code enforcement person dispatched out. So there's multiple things that we can do to address the service quality that our residents, require, that they need and they want. So this is just options, but if we brought one code enforcement officer back, that wouldn't lessen the rent. They're paying for the room, and then there's an area where they have the files. So that is, if you brought one code enforcement back, it wouldn't make a difference in the cost.
Not to mention the efficiency of the way we operate. You absolutely, without doubt, you have to have support staff on scene with all the stuff that they have to enter, print out, provide to staff. You can't have one code enforcement officer at City Hall and one out at the airport with support staff strictly at the airport. That's not efficient use.
Okay, so then maybe instead of putting the whole paragraph that you read out, maybe we could just change it and advertise it on the water bills or the city staff that code enforcement is now located at blah, blah, blah.
That would be easy. And just, I don't disagree with you, but to also tell you that we don't get a lot of people that come to our office. A lot of phone calls. Some people when they're mad, but most of the people come to our office, they're complaining about their water bill,
Right, so then
which
it
is
shouldn't-
across the hall. So that, yes, we could do all that. I think it's self-explanatory but I get it. People don't like change. But we didn't slap this decision together. We made a cumulative what's best. I try to not be selfish with staff. Staff goes out, we go read meters. We do a lot of things that's not code enforcement related. Security perimeter at the airport, that's not really a code enforcement issue, but that's something that we need to do. Someone's got to do it. So these guys step up day after day and do stuff that's really not in their job description. It's not perfect, but I think for the masses and for the citizens, I think it's the best thing, the best decision that we had, and also greatly helps Jeremy he can't run that place by himself. He just can't do it. So that's where the decision came from. It wasn't just, it was thought out and vetted through my staff with Jason. That's really all I can say.
And Mayor, my last thing on this, Mayor, is this. We've gone to two city managers, and this is our second interim since I've been here. And Mark wasn't trying to move him out there. Christie wasn't trying to move him out there. Dr. Kelly wasn't trying to move him out there. And I think this council should ask themselves, why is that? None of them was trying to move him out there.
I can answer that.
Let me finish. None of them was trying to move him out there. I think this council needs to be careful that anytime we have an interim, that our staff is not using our interim. We, as the city council, need to always have the best interest in the city and the residents to make it as convenient for them as possible, and not let our staff use or get over on the interim because they think this is the opportunity to make it happen.
So that's your allegation?
I think the city
That's great.
council needs to always
Well,
keep
listen,
that in mind.
I think I remember hearing
kidding
every
me?
single city manager that we've had talk about space issues.
Oh, we've always had it. But
Yeah,
they didn't do
so
nothing about
it's
it.
not a new concept, and I think Dr. Kelly even mentioned out there she was trying to put it at the sheriff's substation for a minute. I think that was part of the
Yeah, that was an
conversation.
option.
So yeah, she was talking about moving them way back then. So it's not completely out of the blue. It was something that we've heard before, that it was an issue.
It was, but here's the big thing. The availability at the airport was never there during all those people you just mentioned,
Right.
except Schrader in the beginning. It was never there. It was there after FAM vacated. They had every office used in that airport, and then some. So once that became empty, it changes the scenario 150%. Now there's an opportunity. The city manager saw that. I saw that. I'm not out there. I'm not reaping the benefits of being away from City Hall, but my guys are, and staff is, and they love it. And I've not got one complaint from anybody that they had to call me or anything. Not one complaint. Now, if you're getting complaints, I would love to have a face and a name where I can call them back. Not generalities. I deal in specifics. And give me that name, and I will call them back and personally apologize for any inconvenience that move caused. But I don't think that happens.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve item number 19, interdepartmental executive airport lease agreement.
I'll second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Last call for, well, they have had this whole time, so if you want to say something, please go ahead.
Maria Sutherland, 900 West Main. I was just wondering, does code enforcement pay rent at City Hall right now?
Don't believe so.
So you'll be paying rent over at the airport, and I understand the grant assurances that you have to have some level of aviation-related business in order to lease space at the airport, but not 100% of the staff is going to be airport-related, only a proportionate amount. What amount from the general fund is going to be subsidizing the airport that the taxpayers will be subsidizing at the airport? Because if you're not paying it now, someone's paying it. So you're having to take money out of the general fund, you raise the taxes, and now you're going to be taking some of that money and spending it at the airport because the airport doesn't have a budget. Does the airport have a budget?
Yes.
Has that budget been presented?
Mm-hmm.
So is there in there the allocation of general fund money going towards the airport? So what you're approving is that the general fund be money taken out of the general fund, which was not budgeted for this. You're gonna have to make an adjustment to the general fund.
we don't know
And
that.
transfer that money. Well, you're not spending it right now. You are not spending.
Well, I can tell you the
Code
airport-
enforcement is not renting space at City Hall.
Got it.
So someone's gonna have to subsidize the airport rent for code enforcement. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I'm just saying there's money
Just arguing
involved.
for
There's
the
a
sake of
budget
arguing? Gotcha.
impact, and no one has addressed that.
I also remember that we used to have the so-called safety officers rented has two spaces out there. I don't know whether they pay for their own rent or the city paid for their rent, but I remember they stayed out there and nobody seemed to have a problem with that, so. Good, I'm glad. This will be budgeted too, so I'm
All right, you're
We
not
have
going
a
to make
motion on the
comments
floor.
straight from the audience. You're going to do it in the microphone or not. You've already had your time. Yes, sir.
There is the amount that the code enforcement clerk, if everything goes through, that will end up being a 50-50. So there will be the savings of the money that the code enforcement is paying over. They will have the salary savings and not having to pay the airport / code enforcement clerk. So it's very close in number.
You're not
It's
going to
close.
make comments
Close.
from the seats. You've already had your time, ma'am. You're,
About it
no,
is he's
I'm
making
sorry.
a
You're
comment.
not.
I'm
That-
sorry,
no.
but he's making a
Point
comment
of
that
order.
is redundant.
Point of order.
You have your point of
Point
order.
of
You're
order,
you're
ma'am. Sit
discouraging
down.
debate
down.
that is
Ma'am.
relevant to an impact
Ma'am,
to the
stop.
budget.
Ma'am,
Or you're going to have me removed?
be civil.
I am being civil. I'm
Be
just asking
civil.
the question. He made
You've
a
had your
statement that
time, ma'am.
requires a response, and you're not allowing me to respond or
Ma'am,
even
you've had
pursue
your
a
time.
question
You were not supposed
before
to be
you
sitting
make
there
your
making
vote.
comments from the audience. The
Shelley,
only-
I
the
beg you
only
to ask
way-
him where's the
like
money
to-
coming from.
I'd like to ask where the money's coming from. I'd like to finish hearing what she was saying, as a matter of fact.
We have a motion and a second on the
So we're
floor.
not, you're not going to answer that?
Is there anything that staff would like to add?
So you see on the what I passed out to everybody with the salaries as far as the airport paperwork. So it goes into what the cost is, but you have expenses and then you have salaries, but you also have money that comes in from the general fund. You see that? So the salary it's close to being a wash. It's the number is right there. So the agreement that we have, the interdepartment agreement, should have the total there, but it's very close. So where the money's coming from, it's one money the money coming from one line item out of the general fund over, but then the general fund is saving on having to pay that salary, the half of that salary, which is include not just what the actual salary is, but also workers' comp, insurance, and everything else that goes with it. So once you start adding in all those items listed, it becomes very close.
Anything else? Seeing none, please call a roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Councilmember Merker?
No.
Councilmember Taylor? No. Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes. Item number 20.
Okay, so in our council meeting, that was on, it was the 12th, or let me see when it was. On December 8th. So the council meeting that we had in December 8th, we went over the legal services. So I went ahead and put that forward for everybody. A background, we had two response, Shoots and Bowen and Sabatini Law Firm, a background. At the October 13, 2025 City Council meeting, the council, as recommended by the Gilchrist Law Firm and the Brickell Building Investigation Report, made a motion directing the city manager, Dr. Kelly, to issue RFQ to secure specialized litigation counsel. The scope RFQ was specifically designed to address civil litigation matters identified within the investigation report, including those involving Mayor Anderson and Councilmember McGuire. The purpose of this report is to present the evaluation results and seek council direction. RFQ 2511 was issued on October 31st, 2025, and closed on December 5th, 2025, and yielded 2 responses, Sabatini Law Firm and Schutz and Bowen. There's 2 separate law firms, Schutz and Bowen one, Sabatini Law Firm the other. The evaluation committee conducted a thorough review of the submitted qualifications. The committee consisted of the city manager, finance director, and finance specialist. Proposals were scored based on the criteria established in the RFQ, including municipal litigation experience, attorney qualification, the firm's ability to handle specific complexities outlined in the investigation report. But I do want to say that there were 4 different, the criterias that were there was experience, just like the overall experience of the law firm, the proposal, the proposal and letters of recommendation. So when everything was scored, Melody scored it for Schutz and Bowen 81, Sabatini Law Firm 70, Winnie Gordon scored 83 for Schutz and Bowen, 80 for Sabatini Law Firm, Jason Atkinson 74 for Schutz and Bowen, and 87 for Sabatini Law Firm. The final scores were 238 for Schutz and Bowen and Sabatini Law Firm 237. So there was a 1-point difference. Of course, that does come to the council to review as far as the fiscal impact. Just to bring you up to date on what what it cost for Gilchrist, the costs associated with the initial investigation performed by the Gilchrist Law Firm and had supporting effort from Bryant, Miller, Olive, PA, and other advertising agencies totaled $103,188.98. We had a project code which basically all these invoices were entered in so we could keep track of the cost. This does not include the amount of time spent by staff performing work related to the investigation. The initial budget for other legal services for fiscal year 25 was $21,000, and the total budget for other legal service for fiscal year 26 is $37,990. The current funds available under this line item to date is $24,465.86. A financial impact cannot be determined at this time based on the complexity of the investigation and a significant difference in rates submitted by the 2 law firms. It's in the packet. You'll see the different rates that were there. So it can differ greatly as far as the cost, or vary greatly. So I just bring that to the council to discuss.
Mayor, if you like, I'd like to make a comment before we start talking about legal expenses and budget overages. Last year, 2 of the 5 council members voted to hire Gilchrist at somewhere around $60-some thousand expenses. That quickly went to 80-some thousand. That eventually went to, as you see here, over $100,000 over one line item budget. We're ready to look at the other legal expenses that are probably going to, I would guess, would be probably 2 or 3 or 4 times as much as that. I think that anytime we have one line item that's that amount that's going to go several $100,000 over that budget, I think that the citizens and taxpayers have the right to decide whether that's worth spending that extra money out of budget. Because this thing here could go, I'm not a lawyer, but I could bet you several $100,000 over budget. We're talking about a few $1,000s over budget. People are wanting coming out. I think that if we are us to do this, I think that the voters have a right to decide whether they want that much money spent on legal services over one line item budget. So I probably won't get a second, but I'm going to make a motion that on this one line item, that we do not spend more than $100,000 over what is budgeted, which was approved by all 5 members of this council last year and this year. They approved that amount. So I make the motion, we do not spend more than $100,000 over budget on that line item without the approval of the voters to come November. If I get a second, great. If not, at least I'm on the record.
Is there a second? Jerry, I'll ask the question. Obviously, myself, I could not vote on this.
Well, that's between you and your attorney. I assume you've talked to an attorney that's had you,
Well, I haven't heard this motion until right now, obviously, so.
yeah.
Just-
Well,
In
it's
your
along the same
opinion.
line. It's along the same lines, you're basically making a
Oh.
selection.
Okay.
One last comment I'd like to make. I believe that Councilwoman McCure, correct me if I'm wrong, please, also made the comment that she didn't care how much it cost. So,
That was taken out of context.
okay, then so be it. What I'm saying is, I think that much money, the people who live here, who pay taxes, they should decide if that's worth spending that much money, which could be 2, 3, 4, 5 times this amount. But, so be it.
We'll
Thank
have
you.
to get a second.
Yep.
Before we have any more discussion.
I'm done.
Going once, going twice, see no second. Motion dies for lack of second.
So, Jerry, I have a question then. So should this pass during the civil litigation period, how much of this information will be considered public record? And I'm saying, can we establish a shade meeting from the very beginning to stress the importance of confidentiality?
No. Shade meeting can only be done once the litigation's in place and, or possibly impending, if it gets to the point where it's actually going to be filed, they decide that they're going to file suit because you're basically hiring somebody. Hopefully they haven't made a decision at this moment to sue, but will do so based on the facts that they have as they do their evaluation.
So how would our confidentiality be protected
That-
against formal, other side counsel confidentiality?
Well, there's attorney-client privilege with regard to some communications, and but it's not real broad. In Florida, we have a very broad Public Records Act and Sunshine Act, so it's really not a lot you can do. Closed sessions are very restricted with regard to how you do it, and I think you got a situation. You can exclude the 2 people that you've made allegations against that are sitting on the board. I mean, how you can exclude them and have a shade meeting? What's going to be the purpose of that?
Okay.
I mean,
Well, there's no reason to keep going with this because we've talked about it. So I'm just going to go ahead and make a motion to select the contract with Schutz and Bowen LLP for civil litigation against Gare Anderson, Brittany McGuire, and Daniel Sauls regarding the sale and procurement of the Brickell Building as outlined in the findings of the Gilchrist Law Firm investigation.
I believe they would say, and I'll let them speak for it, but I think it's Schutz and Bowen, or Schutz, I think is what they call themselves now.
Schutz. My apologies, Schutz.
I second it.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. Any questions?
I have a comment. Usually when we make a decision.
You can make your way up here.
Pardon me?
Yeah, that somebody speaker is telling me he can make his way up here.
Well, if you don't. Go ahead. Oh, thank you. I just want to make a financial budget discussion again, once again. Normally, when we have 2 people make bids on a projects, normally we try to look at taxpayers' pockets and try to take the lowest possible bid unless we personally know that the one who's bidding the higher amount is definitely more qualified, usually it's through personal experience. Here we have 2 law firms that I don't know anything about. I don't know whether the citizens or taxpayers are aware of the fact of the hourly rate, but basically, Schutz their hourly rate is almost double or 50% higher in other areas. So the expense to the citizens and taxpayers, once again, is going to be twice what the other company is. I mean, the hourly fee for Schutz, for the attorneys and that, is $450 to $500,000. $450 to $500 an hour, where the other company is $220. And then the paralegal for Schutz is $250 an hour, where for the other company it's $65. So you can see that the difference is basically half or even greater. And so Once again, here we're looking at people willing to spend your money from companies unless they're very familiar. And if you do, then I'd like to hear what your experiences with these law firms to why you're picking one company over another, because I think that we're talking about the taxpayers' money once again. We should be physically responsible to do what's best for what's their budget, because I think that's the right thing to do, in my opinion. But I'm glad to hear anybody's opinion that decided that Schutz was better. I'm done.
Name and address for the record, please.
Alex Dean, 3835 Arlington Street, Fort Myers. First thing, Mr. Bernard, I made a note when you were saying about it, something being taken out of context. Actually, the comment about I don't care how much it cost was said in one form or another 5 separate times over 2 meetings. So it must have been taken out of context all those 5 times. I have a suggestion. What's the overall goal here is one thing that you might want to put to all your people here, because if it's simply, hey, the city gets the Brickell building back, buy it. Right? I mean, so if you're saying it's a $500,000 building that this Dan Sauls bought for $10, well, it's valued at about $2 million now. Take the $500,000 off. Go to them and say, you know what? We think you got this $500,000 for free. Cut him a check for the $1.5 million value that he's put into it with his work, everything else, and buy it. If that's where the litigation is going to go to, I'm just saying that's a reasonable alternative, is it not? Because you get a guaranteed outcome with that, and you get you could possibly lose in court, right? And your best day in court, and I'm certain any of these lawyers will tell you, is you're not going to be handed the building. It'll be, well, you must pay for the improvements that were done on the building. You know, a government entity doesn't just get it handed to them for free. Part of it, for no other reason, is there's not punitive damages involved in anything. It would only be compensatory. So that's just one thought that I have is, hey, why don't we go to the guy who's got the building and buy the building and say, hey, we're going to deduct $500,000 from the value of this building. Now, I would also posit that one of the reasons that you don't do that is because you don't have the money for it. Well, when you guys are up here, so that would, you know, I heard some different phrases, you know, talk about bleeding money. You know, when we were talking about, the guys were talking about Main Street, you know, we were worried about the $3,400 for monthly rent on things. To Mr. Bernard, to your question, I actually have discussed with 2 different law firms, and their estimates are that should this go to trial, it will exceed $400,000 to $500,000 easily. There's just no way that this will not end up exceeding that amount. And something else that came up, in case, you know, for people that have or haven't been involved in litigation, when you're talking about what's confidential, the moment you file suit against another party, they get access to everything on discovery from you. All those messages between, you know, whomever it may be, doing posts on Facebook or whatever it is. And again, it doesn't have to be, we know what this message is. It's, no, we want all your emails, all your phone calls, all of everything, because we believe it will lead to discoverable evidence. And what I mean is, when you sue Dan Sauls and Garrett Anderson and Brittany McGuire, they're going to immediately get all of your, not just your city phones, but your private personal emails. And then, yes, the majority of that will become public record. Now, the interesting thing about that is I would estimate I've said that over the last 30 years to approximately 1,000 people. And all 1,000 of them did not believe me at all. And all 1,000 of them ended up having their records turned over and went to public record. And being a victim of it myself, it's never a fun thing. Investigations don't get smaller. They always get bigger, especially when it's the government. It always expands. One of the things that we noticed and I heard the statement and I wrote it down, financial impact cannot be determined. I'm glad that you guys pointed that out because that was basically what I had written down by discussing this with two other law firms, is this is basically a cost plus contract for the law firm. That is, pardon the expression, the wet dream of anyone, because the cost plus means that $400,000 to $500,000, that is the
Are we keeping
basement.
time, Melissa?
That's the minimum. So you're looking at a very, very serious expenditure here that I think, by my personal opinion, educated opinion, is in the next, after 3 years, by year 4, you're going to be looking at 7 figures on this. So, but I know that it was said, we don't care, so.
Okay. Thank you. I also have one question for the two ladies that are made the motion to approve it. Last year, you also made the motion and moved it to, which I agreed to, the governor's office, and eventually added to most departments in Tallahassee. We basically turned it over to the Ethics Commission. What happens if the Ethics Commission comes out in the meantime, in the next few months, whatever, and gives you the exactly what you're looking for? Are you willing to stop the investigation at that moment, or what is your plans? Would you like to answer that question? Okay.
I would.
Okay, go ahead.
I think I gave Ms. McGuire and Mayor Anderson the opportunity when it was first presented. You know, if they give back the building, you know, I went on to all
We
of
don't
that.
own the building.
They wasn't willing to do any of that. So no, I'm not willing to stop. I'm going forward. And by my understanding, our contract stated that we, as the plaintiff, we would not be picking up the attorney fee. The defendant would. Make sure you understand that. Well,
Yeah, we can't make, no comments from the council. No comments
if
from
they
the
don't
council.
pick up all of it, we
Yeah.
expected them to pick up most of it.
Yes, sir.
Richard Macklin, 1002 West Cornell Street. You're assuming that you're the winner on that particular statement. But something that Ms. McCurr has said on numerous times that I said in this room, that you didn't care about the money. Why don't you help donate to the city? Because the money is not anything to you, but it is to us, the small town taxpayers. I mean, Maria made a very good point about the money. If we can't afford that, the last thing we need to be doing is going into this. And these are just questions that I think myself and most every other person in town would like to know. Is I thought we did, I think Jim just hit on it, I thought we turned this over to the state, who has the FDLE and all these kind of people, that's not going to charge us for this. So what in the world, when we're worried about $3,400 rent at the airport, are we even considering talking about this? It makes no sense. And I read this stuff and hear stuff at the restaurants, the harm that has been caused to the city. Has anybody in this town even drove through town now versus before? That place right there started the ball rolling. I don't care what anybody says. Everybody will agree with that. There's no denying that. So what is the gain in the end? Was this not put out for bid? I mean, I'm pretty sure it was put out for bid, and everybody in this room could have bid on that building. Oh, okay? So there was a lot of bid. I did not realize there was a lot of bids.
There were no other bidders.
But that's not what I had read in the paper. So if I'm wrong and there was all these other bids,
There weren't.
for, where were the bids if we sold it for X amount of money? I mean, what were they? It just doesn't make any sense that our town, the financials that we are in, and this lady here obviously has all the money because she doesn't care what it's going to cost at any expense, which is our expense. It's not her personal expense. It sounds more like a personal goal here to me, sitting out here. So why can't we wait on the state to come back with their answer? Is that answer not going to be good enough? Or is somebody here going to tell me that some attorney is better than all the top brass that we have that investigate the most important crimes in the world? I mean, it makes no sense why we would even bring this in front of the taxpayers and the council to vote on it. So just let's use some common sense, because what is the harm? Nobody has told me the harm that has impacted this city. I want somebody to tell me, please, what the harm is, what the damages are.
The harm is that possibly $1 million building was stolen from the citizens of Avon Park. That was the harm.
Do you
That was the
remember
harm.
what happened to that building and all the meetings?
You missing the point, sir.
No, I'm
the
not.
point
I'm
is,
not
no
missing the
matter
point,
what
ma'am.
condition the building originated was in, no matter you see, you want to look at where
I've
the
been through that
building
building.
was.
I went through
And
that
it
building
doesn't
after the
matter.
hurricane.
It doesn't matter the condition that it was in.
It doesn't.
What matter is it didn't belong to you, and you came and you stole it from the residents of Avon Park.
Was it not open for a bid?
That's what matters.
Well, I guess I'm confused. I thought this went out for a bid process.
It did.
Did it not go out for a bid process?
did.
Yes or no? It's a yes or no.
It did.
Okay.
It
So how
did.
did it get stolen?
You're not gonna make
I'll
comments
let you
from the
talk to the
audience.
law firm. I'll let you talk to the law
If
firm.
we
'Cause
hire
we
a
paid
law
like
fir- if you guys-
$86,000
That was
for
the
that
biggest joke.
investigation.
That was
So
the
I'll let you
slap.
talk to the law
That was
firm.
a slap in the city of the residents. That was a slap, that law firm. When you sit down and just read what they said, I mean, a high schooler could have come up with that. I mean, well, this. I mean, they just took our money. We all know they took our money. There's no way disputing that. And now we're willing to even go to 3 to 4 to 5 times of that? For what?
Yes.
Do you think you're helping the city, ma'am? Do you really think
It's
you're
not-
helping the
it's-
city?
I think I'm doing the best thing for the city, because
Okay.
if we sit down and let this happen this time, it'll happen again.
Well, then why don't we let
know
the
if
voters-
we know it's probably done happened many times in the past. May not with these
So it
particular.
is a personal-
It probably has
it is a
happened many
personal
times
deal
in
here
the
then.
past. But I feel if we do nothing about it, it will continue. May not with this council, but the council that comes after.
Well, in November, we can do something about it.
Yes, we
That's
can.
right.
Yes, we
November.
can.
So don't drag us into all this financial debt. Let the state of Florida come up with the answers. Let them come back. Or you're not going to want that answer neither, maybe, if it doesn't come back right. But November, everybody here, this town, if they feel as positive as you in November, we can put it to rest. Thank you.
Name
So-
and address for the record, please.
Emilio Garibaldi, 126 West Main. For Mr. Macklin and anybody else who comes up here, remember that these two councilwomen are also citizens in this town, and they also pay taxes. They're sitting up there because they represent the city, the community, and the people that are sitting back here. So as a person who, to your statement, Mr. Bernard, I live here, I own here, and my office is here, I'm okay with it. And I'm sure there's many people back here and many people online that are okay with it. Why? Because it's called research. You yourself said, I don't know this law firm. I don't know any of these law firms. I don't know this. I don't know that. But there's a lot of people that are researching, and that's why we're moving forward with all this. There's a reason for it. And another point is, the Brickell building, it was the gym that started everything, not the Brickell building, because the Brickell building wasn't finished. So it was the gym and Stephen Madre and everything that they were doing. And the people who came into town to fight for it, to bring these businesses in, like the Pipel Group, like Sarah, like myself, who've been fighting for this city. So anybody who has any argument on why these businesses are coming in, why the Brickell building is up for grabs or whatever anybody wants to think, it's the same reason always. The same people who were up here for many, many, many years and nothing has happened don't like the fact that all these people are coming up and fighting back. Sorry.
All right. Anything else?
Motion on the table.
All right. Last chance for speakers. Seeing none, we do have a motion and a second on the table. I will say one last comment that I do believe that it is appalling that you're using taxpayer funds for personal attacks. I
And
do
I think
believe
it's
that the way that this has been
appalling that
structured,
you
excuse me,
used
ma'am,
the
you've had your
Avon-
time. I'll let you speak.
Avon
Thank you.
Park Main Street, you used their
Miss
taxpayer
Taylor,
money too
Miss
when you
Taylor.
authorized that.
Miss Taylor, you had your time. And I believe I did not vote for any of this, by the way. You did. Anyway, this is a personal attack. I do believe that the way that these allegations are structured, it is to take out the will of the people. It's to take out two people's votes to try to use taxpayer money to steal a building from a person that did rightfully win it through a bid process that you all voted for. So that's my only comment. All right. We have a motion and a second on the table. If there's no more speakers, we will call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire,
I'll abstain since I'm named in the motion.
Councilmember Merker,
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard,
No.
Mayor Anderson.
I'll abstain as I'm named in the allegations. All right. Item number 21, we have a new job description for the CRA Communications and Project Manager.
So as part of the fiscal year 25-26, the FY26 budget adoption process, the City of Avon Park approved personnel salaries, new positions, and job descriptions for the continuous operation of the city. On December 8, 2025, CRA and Economic Development Manager Jessica Carlson resigned from her position effective January 5, 2026. Prior to Ms. Carlson's arrival, the CRA and Economic Development Manager position was classified as a CRA Communications and Project Manager. After evaluating both the current and previous CRA positions in alignment with our current administration and community involvement, it has been determined that the position going forward will best be served as a CRA Communications and Project Manager. We can discuss that tonight. So the CRA Communication Project Manager position job description approved. This was approved on 2022, so kind of what's coming back to you all has already been approved in 2022. There were no changes to the job description. I think the only thing is salary went up to 60, I think it went 50 to 50, I think it was at $60,000 to the high level. The adjusted position will be funded entirely out of the CRA and will be funded as follows: Main Street CRA 66%, Southside CRA 34%. And it's up for discussion if you all want to move forward with that. Let us
Yes, I
know.
have a question. I talked to Jason today about this position. And the reason why I talked to him about this position, I specifically remember that this council, along with the CRA Advisory Board, we had a joint session. And that session lasted almost 2 to 3 hours. And both committees talked about what they would like to see as a description and what is the qualification that we would like to have for this job. We sent it back to them to make it happen, and it came back and we approved it. So if it came before the city to be approved, I want to know who gave the permission to change it without coming back before the city.
Okay, so it's in front of the council because in discussions with the council and discussions internally, we decided that it should come back in front of the council to make that decision as 5 people voting on this topic. Because there's differing opinions.
Okay. So obviously with Ms. Carlson not being here, is there someone currently fulfilling these duties?
Currently working out of class, Jeanette. She's doing an absolutely fantastic job. She's very responsive. She meets with me daily and lets me know what's going on with CRA. But she has stepped in. She does have plenty in front of her, so we are reviewing certain aspects of the CRA that we do have the conversations, but I think she's doing a good job. But this will ultimately go out and be advertised once if we're approved. If not, then we will go back and advertise for the old position, which is CRA Economic Development Manager, which tops out at $85,000. This is a position up to $60,000, the CRA Communications and Project Coordinator. It's very similar in position description. I think potentially maybe in the and I'll say I'm guessing here, but maybe to lure Ms. Carlson, a qualified candidate, maybe that was increased, that the name of that position was changed, and that lured Ms. Carlson. But in conversations and looking at everything as a whole, as the interim city manager, and in conversations with council, I think it's best to come back and discuss amongst the five of you.
Okay. Is there anything pressing that it could not go before the advisory board?
No, you can decide to do that. I guess the only thing that there would be a time where the 30 days, or is it 31 days, Denise?
Right now, per the PRR, we have Jeanette out of class with the extra $1 an hour. If she stays in that out of class position beyond 30 days, then she goes retro to the salary of the position that was in place. So, in talking with Jason and looking at the scope of what Jeanette could bring to the table versus what we need, that's when he said he felt that the CRA communication project coordinator role would be more suited for the city's needs.
Do you have any issue with this job description at all?
No. The difference between the two is what Jessica brought to the table was a strong economic development piece, which was, I know, part of Dr. K's vision. But, Jason, in looking at it, feels that this would suit us better at this time.
Okay. All right. Is there any members of the advisory board that would like to give an opinion on if they think this should go back to them or not? Looking at one person in particular. Without putting her on the spot? No? Okay. Any other questions or comments on this topic? Well,
Make a
there's-
motion to,
Yes, please. Name and address for the record, please.
Tom Macklin, 609 County Road 64 East. I am not on the advisory board, but I feel like it because I've watched so many of their meetings here as of late. And to a person that serves on the advisory board, I think, quite frankly, you owe them the respect to have the opportunity to review it and make a recommendation to you all sitting in your capacity as the CRA. I don't believe that there's necessarily a rush, and I do understand what the interim city manager and the human resources manager has said about the increase in the salary. But I think in an effort of doing it right and showing people the amount of respect I think they deserve, that would be the proper course of action.
Okay. Do you know when the next advisory board is scheduled?
January 15th, I think.
First week of February.
I think the advisory board has one, or not Wednesday.
February 12th.
That's the
February
next
12th.
advisory. Okay. I guess we've already had the one for this month then.
We have the joint one, the 5th.
The joint. That's right. That's right.
So it's over a month away.
Okay.
So my only comment that we've heard the advisory board say over and over again is they didn't feel like we got enough stuff done. I feel like a lot of the CRA projects kind of dragged out, and they've continued to drag out, maybe because the focus wasn't, or there was not enough time in the day to focus on both of those roles. It feels like it's kind of two different roles. So I feel like it probably does need to be more concentrated and dedicated to actually making sure the CRA packets and the agenda and the things that we need are ready for those actual meetings, rather than trying to spread that person thin over. It didn't seem like it, and I know Dr. Kelly was the one that, she was the one that had recommended it. I don't think the advisory board actually did, but it just feels like it was too much under one hat, so nothing was really completed. And I know there was a bunch of different reasons for that, but maybe we need somebody that pinpoints into just what the CRA is about and keep those two things separate.
Yeah, I agree. I think Jessica, actually, one of the last things she commented was that basically this job should be split in between two people, whether it's a full-time and a part-time or two full-timers. And maybe that's part of the reason why things didn't get as far along as we hoped, but here we are, we're into another year without any set plans signed off to do either the main projects that were started talking about last year. So I think if Ms. Jeanette is willing to accept the new title as presented by Jason at that pay raise, I think I'd be willing to move forward with that and then look at other options after the fact.
We have to go through the process, so we do have to go through the process. I mean, we're working with her. Another reason just behind it, just on the expediency side of things, we are short a person upstairs, so that's why, and as important as we've all said CRA is, and Jeanette stepping in and assisting with that, there is no, I brought Karen over to try, who's working as usually our public works admin assistant. She works the front desk in the public works. So she comes over at 8 o'clock. She first goes to the public works facility. She comes over at 8 o'clock, and she's usually there till 3:30. And we had something where we were also going to put out of class and have Liz kind of working like a couple hours here and there as a executive assistant, giving her the feel of that position. However, just due to the amount of the workload that we have in front of the HR department in the beginning of the year, it's just really not feasible. She can help with some things. So right now that executive assistant position is really not being filled because Karen is basically just doing her job from Public Works coming over. So that other position is not being filled right now. That's the reason why it's got pushed along. But I definitely understand about the advisory committee speaking upon it and giving their input. I get it. That's the only reason it was pushed along, just because of vacancies and where we stand.
Could we see if they contact them to see if they'd move up their next meeting to, say, 2 weeks from now, or something like that?
Like a special meeting?
Go to the. Can you please go to the podium, Jeanette, please? You can if you. No.
Whatever you're comfortable with. We just want to hear your voice.
Okay. Jeanette Wanzer, Executive Assistant to the City of Avon Park since 2021. We could definitely have a special meeting, propose a special meeting so that they can get an opportunity to review the job description and also have an opportunity to talk to me, but they already know me because I actually did the position for 6 months when Chrissy was interim city manager, as well as I did finance while I was doing the CRA, making sure it didn't fall in the cracks. And I did CRA under Mark Schrader as well because we didn't have a CRA personnel, so he would have me do certain things. So I do think that I am qualified for the position. Do I have the economic background? No, I do not. But I don't think I can't learn it. I think we all start at certain places and then we learn things. So, but again, I do think that we should be able to call the advisory board and do a special meeting within the next week or two.
Okay.
Would that be a joint special meeting?
I don't think it has to be.
It can be. It just, I guess whatever Jason
Well, I guess
directs me to do.
The only way that I think that would make sense is if maybe we have it before our next council meeting.
Exactly.
So that we can roll it all into one, and then obviously the object is that if the reception is good from the advisory board and they want to move forward with it, that we could then ratify it then and there, just to make it more expedient.
Sounds perfect. Yeah, we'll put it before the council meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good.
So we make a motion to postpone this, though, definitely?
Do we need a motion to put it on the next meeting? I don't think so, do we?
There's no motion.
There's no motion currently. Yeah, so they'll put it on. Very good. All right, next item number 22, we have new job description for the airports.
Okay, so these are for 3 positions that came forward. The Avon Park Executive Airport Operations Manager, airport maintenance worker, and a code enforcement airport clerk. The bottom two we haven't had a airport clerk in the past. So as part of the fiscal year 25-26 budget adoption process, the City of Avon Park approved personnel salaries, new positions, and job descriptions for the continuous operation of the city. On December 3rd, 2025, City Council decided to cancel the airport management agreement with FAM and manage the airport internally. As part of bringing the operation in-house, it was decided that we needed to adjust our airport operating budget and modify job descriptions to properly operate the airport. The following job descriptions were created or adjusted to meet the operational needs of the airport. Avon Park Executive Operations Manager, previously approved in 2021 and was altered minimally to require an ACI Airport Operations Diploma versus an entry-level diploma. That was one position. Airport Maintenance Worker, this position didn't exist in the past. The position entails work that will be commonly performed by someone at a general aviation airport, and this also includes fueling of the aircraft. Once certified, they can train under Jeremy right now while he's in that position. Code enforcement airport clerk, after evaluating the current workload of the code enforcement clerk, the additional front desk reception duties required to be performed for the airport can be added on to the duties of the current code enforcement clerk. The attached job descriptions reflect updated classifications and duties to align with industry standards, collective bargaining requirements, and the city's long-term staffing plan. Approval of these descriptions will ensure compliance with personnel policies and establish a framework for recruitment, promotion, performance evaluation. The FY26 Airport Division budget will be adjusted to accommodate the positions. You did see some of the budget, the tentative of cost that was given to you all. It's up for discussion if you approve these positions, which are needed.
All right, questions?
My only comment is we need at least those 3 positions, and we need them as soon as possible.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. Well, is there a motion? Kind of figured there'd be more comments.
I'll make a motion, we approve those 3 positions and fill them as quickly as possible.
All right, so we have a motion to approve as presented. Is there a second? We have a motion.
Second, sorry.
We have a motion. We have a second by Ms. McGuire. Last call for questions or comments. Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Councilmember Merker?
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor?
No.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes. Thank you. Item number 23 is to be ordinance 01-2026.
Ordinance of the City of Avon Park, Florida, to implement the charter requirement that the city have an assistant city manager, providing details for establishment and manner of employment, at-will status, ability to return to previous assignments if removed from the city manager, salary and benefits arrangements, providing for authority and limitations on authority and appeals by employees terminated by assistant city manager, providing for minimum qualifications of assistant city manager and additional qualifications established by human resource manager and city manager subject to approval by the city council, providing for severability, providing for an effective date.
Okay.
The City Avon Park Charter, Article 3, Section 304, F, explicitly requires the city manager to designate an assistant city manager to ensure leadership continuity during absences, disabilities, or vacancies. This item is a legislative request formally establishing the qualifications, authority, and duties of the assistant city manager by amending Chapter 2, Article 4, Section 2-243 of the City Code. This amendment provides structural framework necessary to satisfy the continuity of office requirements set forth in the city charter. While the charter mandates the designation of the role, the current city code lacks specific language. The proposed modifications to Section 2-243 will clarify that the assistant city manager acts as the primary deputy to the city manager in day-to-day operations, must meet specific educational and professional, we changed that, didn't we? We changed, well, sorry, we changed it, we changed that, because it's in the code is different than the AIS. So that person is on standby status, and that is, they perform their regular role, and if they needed to step in for a week, they can do that, and, you know, say the city manager's on vacation, they can answer, they have the calls, they can have the phone calls forwarded to that person's desk, so there's no issue with the computers. You know, they would maintain their job. Must meet specific educational, professional experience standards consistent with Florida municipal management best practices. Automatically assumes the acting city manager role as defined by Section 304, Part F of the Charter without requiring further emergency legislative action. The fiscal impact formalizing the position in code does not in itself create an immediate unbudgeted expense. Future fiscal impacts will be governed by the annual budget process and the classification pay plan adopted by the council. So the actual job description that will be going in front of you guys is basically there's going to be a salary range that will be there, and then you can determine what that salary range would be for the person that the city manager would select and that you would confirm as a city council. And then that would be established. And then whenever that individual is out, just think of it as the hourly rate. So if they were filling in for a week, whatever the hourly rate is of whatever you set, that would be that person's salary. And like Mr. Macklin said a couple times, if something unfortunate were to happen to the city manager, then they would just step in and you wouldn't have to try to figure out the pay, and it'd all be set. It'd be ready to go. And after that, if you wanted that person to, you know, basically continue and be the interim at a longer role, that's up to y'all, whatever you wanted to do there. But it's that stopgap measure. So it still lies within the council's hands, but just provides a framework of what the actual duties are and codifies it.
Okay. Jerry, you have anything to add to that?
No, I did most of the drafting on this, and based on the job description they put together and qualifications and so on, so we tweaked it some after I drafted it, and that's where you're at now.
I just had one question, where it says the vote for removal must be by 4 affirmative votes. Was there a reason for that 4 in there rather than just majority? Was there a reason for having 4 affirmative votes for removal versus just having a majority? Because I noticed majority a little farther down.
I don't want to cast any dispersions, but there has been said that possibly this council is sometimes a little reactive with regard to firing people in executive positions.
So would it be just when they are acting as assistant city manager, or when they're performing those duties, or is that? I just want to make sure I understand that paragraph.
As I recall, we changed it because I know it seemed to me like when I put it in there, it was the city. Only the city council could do that when they were acting as a city manager.
If they were interim.
And then if not acting as city manager, then only the city manager could do it as part of his job.
This is what it says in there. If the assistant city manager is removed from that additional city position of assistant city manager, they will immediately return to their previous duties. If there is a city manager, the process of selection of assistant city manager shall begin again. If there is no city manager who is currently employed, the city council shall select the city manager or an interim city manager to perform the duties of the city manager.
So that paragraph right above that then, where it says, performing the duties of city manager and under the supervision of the city manager when not performing the duties of city manager, if removed from the position of assistant city manager by the city council, the vote for removal must be by 4 affirmative votes for removal. If removed from performing the duties of city manager by the city council, but retaining the title of assistant city manager, The vote need only be by a majority vote. The city council shall not have the authority to remove the person from city employment.
But I think that also, if for some reason you do have the city, you have the city manager and you just don't like the efforts of the assistant city manager, then the city manager then can then make the determination to pick another assistant city manager. And
Right. It's
so-
basically just meant to, if you're removing them from that assistant city manager position, they're going back to their stuff, that would just be.
Right. Yeah,
majority
I
vote.
understand that. So is it a little bit different then? Because I know we're not allowed to direct the city manager as far as employees and things like that. So is this a little bit different then? We have a little bit more control over this
Well, it's-
particular aspect?
Yes, exactly, because you have, jurisdiction over the employment of the city manager. And so when somebody's acting as a city manager, I think that falls within that charter provision. When they're not acting as city manager, then really they're an employee, and that's the purview of the interim city manager or whoever is there as city manager at that point.
So by 4 votes, you basically can take the title away. By majority, you take their responsibilities away and you give them to someone else. Is that how that reads?
Yeah.
Okay.
But like this, everything here is, you're.
I just wanted to make sure I understood exactly where the 4 and the majority came in.
Any other questions? Did we read this into the record?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Heck of a read.
Got it. All right, any other questions or comments on ordinance number 01-2026? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 01-2026.
I'll second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Last call for questions. Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Councilmember Merker?
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor? Yes. Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes. All right, item number 24, city manager discussion. Ms. Coger.
So Saturday, council interviewed 3 individuals for the city manager position. Council then provided myself with their tabulation scores of each of the applicants. The overall rating for each one is as follows. Jordan Fairfield scored 136 points. Jason Atkinson scored 143.20 points. And Stephen Honeycutt scored 145.20 points. So at this point, council needs to discuss where they would like to go from here. If they feel a decision can be made, or if they want to discuss it further, and how they want to handle that at this point.
Okay, any comments?
I don't really think we need to discuss it any further. I mean, there was only 3 candidates.
We certainly don't need another round or anything.
No, we don't need another round.
I agree.
I would just say move forward with the top 2 candidates and do the background check, and like we did with Dr. Kelly.
Ms. Coger, does Atkinson need a background check?
He already has his background on file. The only thing that we would have to reach out on is the employer that he had right before coming back. Everything else is already on file for him.
All right. I appreciate all 3 individuals that came out and spent the Saturday with us in the hot room, in the humid room.
Big ask.
Yeah. I feel like each one has, definitely positives to bring to the table, as well as areas that I feel like they could be stronger in or whatever. I feel really strong about the grants that we were just awarded for our water, wastewater, and sewer, and all of our treatment facilities. I know it's been a big headache for a lot of individuals and a big complaint with boil water notices and not having infrastructure in place and all that kind of good stuff. I feel like at this point, it would be critical for us to have someone in place that had a really strong basis of knowledge for those areas, which I know that Mr. Atkinson has. I feel like he's been a big proponent in beautifying Avon Park, even when he acted as Public Works Director. He was one of the ones that very quickly, when Danielle Kelly had an idea, or anybody actually on the street had an idea, he was very quick to listen and do as much as he could to get that, pushed through and put in place. And he did little things, he did big things, but I feel like with those grants that coming forward, it's vital. We can't make a mistake at this point with that infrastructure. So with that, I would like to make a motion to hire Jason Atkinson as a city manager pending that reference check with his previous employer.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll make the second. And I have similar reasons to that. I first want to compliment all three candidates. I have to say that we started off, I think, with 18 or 19. We dwindled down quickly to 12 and then 8. And then I thought we had 4 really good candidates. We ended up with 3. I have to admit, I think with only 3 candidates, I was very impressed with all 3 of them. Yeah. I think they all have great futures ahead of them. And I think, I wish we had a position open for a city manager and assistant city manager. I know who I would vote for to be the assistant city manager right now. But I think that the most important thing that the city has to worry about right now is our public works, as far as our water treatment plant and its grant, as far as our water and sewer lines need to be upgraded. And that, I think, is not only the most worrisome, it's also the most expensive. And I think that of the 3 candidates, Jason definitely is the expert here, and so that's why I seconded the motion.
Okay, anything else?
Yes, I'd like to get this opportunity to put this on record. I also had the opportunity to call and talk to Jason today. And he know and I know I didn't give him a good score. I sat right here and I watched Jason Saturday, January the 10th. I personally didn't think Jason was confident enough to hold the title of city manager for the city of Avon Park. There was a lot of questions that I thought that Jason just was mumbling around in. Most of the questions was 2 parts. Jason concentrated on the first part, and he never really did come with it on the second part. I think Stephen Honeycutt knocked it out of the ballpark. I think that Fairchild, I think he did a great job as well. The only thing I have to say about Fairfield concentrated on, you can tell he had the experience, but he had the experience mostly in the federal side, and I needed him to have more in the municipality, county, that area. But I think he was a great candidate. Whoever taught him how to interview, he aced it with his interview. But if I had to choose a candidate, it would be Honeycutt. Honeycutt has the experience. Honeycutt did not get through all of his questions, but when you asked Honeycutt the question, he looked you dead in the eye. He went back and forth to every one of these candidates, and anybody was here, which was only about 4 or 5, and the one that was on the Zoom, I know they had to hear what I heard. Honeycutt was very confident in himself, and every question that you asked him, he came back with an answer, and it was an answer with expertise that he showed you that he had the experience and he had experienced it. So there may be a motion on the table, but I think that this council is making a grave mistake. Jason is good in public works, sanitation, wastewater, all of that. I can't take it from him. He's good at it. But there's a lot of things in this city that Jason has no idea of what he's done. And I know that because when he called and talked to me, I can see it. I can see it. I can hear it. It's not like I'm talking behind his back. Me and him had that conversation today. Jason is not ready for this position, and the Avon Park is going to suffer because of it.
Yeah,
I do kind of have to agree. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
No, go
you.
ahead.
I do have to agree. One thing I have a problem with Jason is the communication. When I talk to Jason, sometimes I feel like I start at one point of the circle and completely go back around to the top of the circle, but never get all the rest of the information. I actually am more confused when I talk to you than when I don't talk to you. And eye contact is very important. And I did notice that you sat at the table with your interview and you never once looked at any of the council members. You looked at Denise. And because I think communication is very important. So like Miss Taylor said, you are a rock star in the public works. That's your thing. That's your niche. Mr. Honeycutt has assistant city manager. He's got town administrator experience. He's got the mayor and he's got council. He knows the workings of the town. And when we hired Dr. Kelly, all three of you guys went with the highest score, but now you're ignoring the highest score. Mr. Honeycutt actually came in higher even with the veteran's preference. So, I'm sorry, but I can't vote for Jason.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say I have nothing negative to say about any of the three candidates. I thought they were all, they're all comparative superstars, definitely in their own ways. But certainly at the end of the day, I mean, my score reflects it. They all got good scores, according to how I saw them. And I think that ultimately for what the city needs right now, I do believe that Jason takes the edge, and I think he has the most relevant experience in what the city actually needs. And you've all admitted that the public works is certainly his strong suit, which is the largest revenue source, which is the largest amount of activity that we have going on, at least in the next 5 years, as we try to build up our utilities here. So we have a motion. We have a second on the floor. Is there anything else? Yeah, looks like it. Yes, ma'am. Just give your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Lisa Burke, 3100 Fast Shot Trail Lake West.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
just have a couple of questions. I represent employees here, and I just had a couple of things for Jason. Due to the fact is we're going to have a new city manager.
You represent
and-
employees here?
Yes, I do. So
She's
I
with
just hope
AFSMI.
moving-
She's the rep for AFSMI.
I'm the
Okay.
rep for AFSMI.
Got
Can you
Perfect.
pull the microphone down just a little bit?
I'm sorry,
Thank you.
I'm not
It's okay.
used to
Thank
the microphone. I'm used to being loud enough. So, and I know we're here looking for a new city manager again. And I just want to move forward and say, Jason, congratulations for, getting right now up for in the last three final decision, and down to two. But moving forward, I hope that communication's better, because I know there was some issues and discrepancies with employees and some things that employees had brought to me. And so I hope if you do become the city manager, I hope that communication relationship is a lot better. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Tom Macklin, 609 County Road 64 East here in Avon Park. I appreciate the opportunity to have been able to be here with you all on Saturday. I agree that each of the candidates did, I thought, a pretty decent job in representing themselves, given the amount of time, which I thought was insufficient to answer the number of questions that you had, which I believe were far too many. No one got through all 32 questions. The one that got the most answered was Mr. Fairfield. One of the things that did impress me about him was the fact that he has a different view of municipal government. He looks at it and can look at municipal government from a federal perspective. I really like the fact that as far as grants were concerned, he was the guy that was the one that weighed grants, looked at them as they came to him. And it's an interesting perspective to have when you come over to this other side and you start, okay, what do we need? Well, I can tell you because I judge these things. The one thing that really kind of, I feel like Jason and I got off on the wrong foot. the first time I wanted to be placed on the agenda. And Mr. Mayor, you're mindful of it, and I don't need to go into the details. But the thing, and I mentioned it this evening in the letter that the former city manager penned on February 10th of 2025, where it said, staff has reviewed the documents that the FDOT had sent. And when I think about that, when we're talking about road acquisition or the jurisdictional transfer, who would be the first person that you would go to when you are referencing roads, and who might staff be? And I can't say who they were, but it would make sense to me that if I were the city manager, I would have reached out to my public works director. And that whoever those people were agreed and thought that the limits were reasonable, and that's why the letter got penned, saying, yes, we'll enter into negotiation. That's problematic to me, because I would have felt that the right path would have been coming back to you all. I can't put words in other people's mouths. The only thing I can do is just draw my own conclusions from the information I have available to me. But quite frankly, the way that I personally ranked each of the individuals, and they have no bearing on what you do tonight, but I just want people to know that I actually had Mr. Fairfield as my number one and Mr. Honeycutt as my second. I don't think we hire somebody for the grant we have today. I think we hire for the future. There's plenty of experts out there to take you down the path of public works and whatever you have as far as obligations with the grants that you've received, which are going to be great for the city of Avon Park. And this is not to disparage anybody, because I know people have lots of friends. But I remember when the city council hired another city manager out of public works, and it didn't work well. And so I'd like for us not to be single-minded in the hiring and look a little larger than just that one particular area. And I appreciate the time, and I don't envy the job that you've got.
Appreciate it, Tom.
But one other thing is, I didn't feel like, and he came up and apologized later, but I don't feel like Mr. Honeycutt wants to move to Avon Park. I feel like he wants us to change our charter.
Did you ask him though before you made that
I
decision?
did ask him at the interviews. I asked him that, and I won't share what he came up and shared with me, privately or whatever, unless he wants to talk about it. But I feel like it's vital that the person live in Avon Park. I feel like they need to live and breathe in the same area that we live and breathe. I think they need to look at the same areas that we look at. They need to use the same water that we use. They need to drive on the same roads that we drive. Because I feel like that it's kind of like a boss not actually working in the building where they're expecting all of their employees to work. It's a different perspective. And I feel like there's more at stake when you actually live here, because you're actually participating. You have to face those people every day, the ones that you're making decisions for. And so I feel like that it was very telling to me, just that one, the one statement and the response to it, which I know that had weighed part of my decision.
Okay, Brittany, if you don't mind, Miss Maria, at what point, Brittany, did you make that decision? Because you didn't make that decision with Dr. Kelly? When? After Dr. Kelly, you made that decision that it's vital for them to live in the city of Avon Park?
She lived within the 25-mile radius.
But did she live in Avon Park? Did she have an Avon Park address? Also, I rest my case.
No, she didn't, and neither did Julian DeLeon either.
Exactly.
He was
and I think that was part of the
way
problem
out
with
of
both
the
of those.
Lake She wasn't a problem.
I also remember the two ladies that didn't vote for him and gave her a raise several months later.
Yep.
Go ahead, Miss.
Maria Sutherland, 900 West Main. Your charter changed when Julian came on board. The mileage issue went away, so I don't know where the 25 miles comes up unless it was just repeated on the job description, but I don't know that in the charter it says nothing about distance unless this council or a prior council had an ordinance, which I looked up for the last since 2019 and I couldn't find one. So I don't know where the 25 miles came from. Does anyone know?
Denise knows, she's got her hand up.
The last time we went through this process before the last interim, council wanted the 25-mile radius. They all voted in favor of it.
And it was this council
Yes, and it was part of the job description. It was
of the
incorporated.
last round?
Mm-hmm.
So it is arbitrary. This is, it's a moving target. But what I'm getting at is, I know you're talking about mileage. You have 3 outstanding employees that don't live even in Highlands County. One of them is your Public Works Director, Tommy King, who is superb at managing grants. And oftentimes the grants are managed not by the director or the city manager, they're managed by the consultant. He's not going to be doing quarterly reports. Tommy is. So when you say that you want to have someone, and I'm not no begrudging to you, but you're not going to have time. So unless you're going to be managing Public Works, and this was one of the problems that Julian had. He was Public Works and he couldn't do city manager, both of them at the same time, so he ended up hiring a project manager to do the grants. So to put it all on grants just doesn't cut it. For those of us that understand that, it just doesn't work. But the bottom line is this: you have the ability to hire somebody here that has the experience. And again, it's not based off of personalities unless it is. It's not based off of friendship unless it is, or convenience unless it is. But the bottom line is you have never, until recent history, changed the parameters of the residency to fit what you want. It didn't work last time for you because obviously Dr. Kelly is no longer here, but no one begrudged her for not living inside the city limits. So that's not a good excuse. You have to think of a better one.
All right. Anything else? Yes, sir. Name and address for the record.
Yep, Eric 7998 West Main Street. I just want to speak on behalf of Jason. I think the city right now needs some stability. Jason's been in this position now. Unless he's not doing a good enough job, would be a reason to not vote for him. But he's been doing this work, and if he's doing a good job, also living in the city, I think, makes a big impact. Like you say, he's living, breathing, and seeing what the citizens are doing. And then as part of Avon Park Main Street, he's been a joy to work with, been easy to work with, and that's what we need also, is someone that the citizens in this city can go to and be able to talk to. So that's all I have.
You're good.
No, it was a very big roll of the dice. So I knew what was at stake. I mean, it was a very good job for me, and I liked it. But this is where I live. It's where I love. There's a reason why I never sold my house. That I knew at some time I would be back here and I'd have the opportunity. And no, okay. No. Never offered the city man. It's 5 people that have to vote on this, and we have to go through the whole process. Mr. Honeycutt, I think he did absolutely a fantastic job. I'm probably going to get his phone number and give him a call sometime and just reach out to him because he's that great of a man. I appreciate Jordan coming up here. I told you, I talked to you said, who did you talk to? And I said, you didn't talk to anybody? And I said, I talked to my dad. And then I held off from watching it because I've been nervous about this. I talked to my dad, and my dad said, hey, Jordan, he's pretty good. Yeah, so yeah. Then, and he went over and said that, Mr. Honeycutt's good. He said, I just don't know exactly what they're talking about to know if they're saying the right things. Not a single person come over and say, oh, you're going to get the job. You're going to get, no. I have to go through the process, and that would be against their ethical standards to do that. And I wouldn't even try to squeeze it out of them. Hey, what do you think? What do you, now, I would not have left had I thought I was a strong candidate for the job. I thought that I would be a strong candidate. I'm here. I'm a veteran. I even have a disability rating. I thought about putting in for the job last time. So there were so many regrets. I actually thought about putting in for the job last time, and I did not. And ultimately, I thought Dr. Kelly would lead us to the promised land, and I would work with her. But I'll tell you this right now. I was hoping they picked the other person. I was hoping because I just felt that personality may have worked with me. However, I will say this. I was ready to work with whoever it was, but nobody in council told me, hey, Jason, you're going to get this. You know, I have a feeling amongst, when I come here, I was the one that spoke up in the budget. You know, I think I have respect of council here, but there's no backdoor dealings or anything. And I really want to get that out of the mindset of the city. My goal is to get back to normalcy. I want to get to a point here where the city, they think that we're doing things the right way. That's my absolute goal. I want to strengthen the bonds. I want to make sure that we're good, you know, in the conversations. I've talked to every single person. I reach out. If you'll take my phone calls, good. If you don't, I understand. I can email. I can do whatever it is that you desire. I'm here to work for all 5 of you as equal. There's no issues. I want to come in here. I'm appreciative. I thought everybody did good. It's to me, it's like a flavor of what it is that you're looking for. And you kind of pick the flavor or your gut, and then you go with it. I've had to do the same thing. When I interview people, I had very good candidates, but there was nobody that was saying, hey, was there some kind of dealings? No, it's you pick who you think is going to be best. And and y'all do that for many other things besides the city manager job. You do that on a consistent basis. And I'm here for whatever. You haven't even voted yet. So whenever that happens, but I'm just appreciative. I just say here, Mr. Honeycutt, Mr. Fairfield, I think you guys did an excellent job. And thank you for coming out, because what you said enlightened me on certain aspects. And I'm greatly appreciative. So thank you all to what you've done. It's helped me out in my career, and it may help me to be better. Your feedback has helped me and will help me to get better. And I've looked up, and there were heads down too when I was looking around. But that's fine. That's okay. But I'm here. I'm proud to be here. I told you, this last month and a half has been, and it's been tiring, but it has been an absolute joy and a fulfillment. And, you know, I look forward to what's ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Alex Dean, 3835 Arlington Street, Fort Myers. First thing I'll say is the very same people, every single one of them, the very same people that are now claiming that it doesn't matter how far away from the city that you are the very same people that have said anything that I have to say doesn't matter or should be disparaged because I don't currently live in the city. So that's hypocritical nonsense for every one of the people that is currently saying anything about, well, the city limits shouldn't matter, because it seems to matter when they want it to matter about something, but it doesn't matter about anything else. I'll posit another thing, and for Ms. Taylor, you're actually going to get your answer of the question that you just asked of him, if there was any backdoor dealings. You're going to get your answer and then some, because why anybody wants this city manager job right now is a shock to me, because everybody up here and everybody over here is going to be in deposition after deposition after deposition for the next 3 to 4 years. Some of those questions will be asked of him. His phone records, everything will be subpoenaed, just as everyone's in here will be from the vote you had from earlier, as well as you guys. So you're going to get those answers to that question under oath. You'll even get them, because it'll all be a matter of public record. So yes, you will get all those answers and more. You know, and one thing that I'd say, just from the observations I made, is, you know, I do think a person who wants to be running that place needs to be in that place. You know, here they're coming into a very, very, very divided situation. And from what I saw when he got the interim position was there was already some division in the past, not even with the board, but from other personnel. So, you know, my only suggestion to you is, you know, you're still a relatively young man. I would not worry so much about defending yourself in your past. I've noticed you think that you have a tendency to do that. I would seize the opportunity going forward to get better, not necessarily to win people over, because your job has to do that. So if you know, don't worry about winning them over on your personality, but I know you've got work to do with the staff and the personnel from what I've seen. You know, and just you know, if you can do the same, if you can turn what you did, what they claim you've done with Public Works, into what they need going forward, because you know, and when I'm talking about the division and why people might not want this job, if you think there's going to be money for Public Works, there's not going to be money for raises. There's not going to be money for anything. Every area of your budget within the next 6 months is going to be drained and drained and drained. The drain will start about 6 to 8 months from now, and for about 4 years, and you guys are going to be voting on taking out loans on going after this. So this, and you know, every person is going to be involved in that. So for whatever that city manager is, you know, I mean, that's, you know, welcome to the gates of hell, because that's what you're facing with all this going forward. And that's all I've got.
Yes, sir. Name and address for the record.
Eric Wilson, 440 East Lakeview Drive.
Yes, sir.
I know you said direct your questions to the board, and my question is, why did he leave from the start? Can the board answer me that? Why did we leave? Why did he leave from the start? He was city manager, right?
Public Works Director.
Public Work. So why did he leave Avon Park and go somewhere else?
Do you? I mean, disagreement with the city manager is what it comes down to, but if you want to elaborate more than that, you can. If not, you don't have to.
Well, yeah, I know that, you know, that's why I'm asking the board.
Sure.
I mean, the board doesn't know why he left?
Yeah, he had a disagreement with the city manager.
Oh, he had a disagreement. Mm-hmm. You know what that disagreement was? Was it written up or anything?
I'm pretty familiar with it.
Okay. I'm coming out of
it's all public records. So.
Okay, yeah. All right. I'm coming out of corporate America.
Yes, sir.
And my background is corporate America for 23 years. And if you leave, I mean, he was in a position, you were in a position to be the next city manager, am I right?
Well, no? They're not in the same.
No?
No, it doesn't.
Okay, so he was not ever asked to be in that position?
Here, I'll go ahead. I'll just elaborate. They did get floated when I went to leave that in the budgeting process that I would be pushed into as a recommendation to be the assistant city manager.
Okay.
That was the recommendation that was was posed by Dr. Kelly to me when I decided to let her know what the intentions was. When I decided to talk to her and explain, you know, the reason why I was leaving, I told her right exactly at the time, and I've already explained that to everybody.
Okay.
But I told her at the time, I said, if you do the assistant city manager and you want me back, I'd be definitely willing to come on back as an assistant city manager. And that was a conversation that we had, and it was pretty good, but then it got pulled at the, you know, in the budgeting process, and I stayed where I was. And then kind of the news dropped about her departing. So at that time, I just paid attention to what was going on, and that was it. And I came back. But that's where it lied. There's no. I went over this already.
Okay.
But there was no. I told us before. I didn't leave here getting ran out of here. I was being asked to stay.
Yeah.
So
Really?
that was the case. I wasn't getting pushed out. I was being asked to stay, and there were several strong relationships that were there. Now, of course, there's people who disagree with you, and I mean that's what happens
Of
if you want
course.
to get stuff done.
Of course. You're never going to please everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
I understand that.
But that's where that ended up happening. In a way, it was kind of going away for a reset, then coming back, and then looking at where say the council was, but ultimately what I told everyone, I looked at where the city was, and I felt this is a time of need for the city, which that was echoed across the entire community. You know, where are we? Nobody wants this job. I raised my hand. I said, I want it. I want that. I'll do everything I can to do that. And that's why I showed up here that night, even though I didn't have to. And I've risked a lot. But this community means a lot to me. And that's why I'm here, sir.
Well, for what it's worth, in responding to what he said, the impetus of what you're saying is essentially that there might have been some animosity there or a bad relationship or something like that between the past city manager and him. And I'll simply say that once she announced that she was leaving, I called her within a few days after that and asked her, hey, it's kind of a shock to me that you're leaving. Do you have any ideas of who would be, a good person to step in as a interim or as the next city manager? Her exact words were to me was Jason Atkinson, which again shocked me because I thought that there would be an issue there. I said, you don't have an issue with Jason? And her response was, no, I think you do a fantastic job. So take that for what it's worth, but that's what she told me.
No. Yes.
Is that my time? I'm sorry.
It got taken up by others.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry.
Your time got taken up, but if you have a last comment, just go ahead.
In corporate America, if someone leaves on a probationary or written up, they're on some type of probationary period or something, you don't hire those people back. And I'm saying that because as a city, like you say, the public works and everything else, we can get good people in there. Mr. Honeycutt, if that's you, okay. You can get people in there that knows or that can learn the process, regardless of, where, if he has that background, you can get people to learn that process. If you leave on a bad note, we never hired people back because those people that are there are they're normally 9 times out of 10 they're going to perform the same way. They're going to do this exactly the same thing. You do not hire people that you leave, that are left a position, and you hire them back in that same position. Or you hire them back, period. So that's just, and Jason, I like you. I like you, but I'm just saying, be careful, city, about hiring people back that have left for a reason.
So if it's okay, I'd like to ask Mr. Honeycutt a question. Okay.
Just give your name and address for the record, please.
Thanks, Mayor. Stephen Honeycutt, 139 Lake Region Boulevard, North, Winter Haven, Florida, 33881. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask you about the issue that's the problem, I guess, the 25 miles out, the over 25 miles out.
Well, we're talking, I have some, I can give an address in Lake Wales. I could have said that on my application, but that was deceitful. Like I said, we're talking 3 miles. I've been doing this for a long time, and most cities that require either a distance or living in the cities usually take the expense of moving that individual. I live in a pretty expensive house, and the 2 houses that have been in my property where I live is gated are still open for sale. My house would probably go for about $550. I've been blessed to be able to live in a piece of property like that. For the salary of $110, even though you guys were asking for $130, like I said, my day would start at 7 o'clock. So I'm going to be here regardless. And as far as facing the residents, once she gets into talking to people, I can give anybody up here, we can walk neighborhoods where I worked.
I plug myself in with the people that I work for. Now, as far as grants, I have been to Tallahassee. I've worked with those grants. I've worked up to $50-something million in grants. They are very important to every city. But what I would say, and I'm going to put myself back on the diocese because I've set up there, if it's going to go down to 3 and 2, which I've been told this is the way it was going to go, I hope, Jason, I spoke with you during the time, I hope that the city, the people, get behind this man. You know, I've been doing this for a long time. And like I said in my interview, this city has some great assets. But this man, if this is who you choose, if you guys can't come together as a city and a council, it's going to be very detrimental, not only to him, but your staff. Your staff feels this every single day because they're the ones that make this city run. So you have to come together, and I'm talking as a former commissioner and mayor. And if you don't do that, it's not going to work because the people that are going to suffer are the staff. I've worked in a city where I watch these people do massive exit. You have some great staff here. I mean, you know, let these people do their job. Start supporting the people that you say that you want here. I mean, I don't know Jason from iota, but I know I've spoken conversations, and if he needs my assistance, I'm not working, I'll be there. But I came here knowing that, like was stated, you guys had 18 applications, 18 applicants. It went down to 8, then 6 and 4, and then 3. My phone rings all the time. I can go somewhere else. But I believe, just as Jason stated, you guys have something special here. And I hope that each and everybody that sits up there understands that. But the grant thing, and the gentleman that spoke, and Jason knows that he's not going to have time to get involved in all the paperwork. If Kimberly Horn is the one that did that, they're the ones that's going to be submitting all the paperwork because they're the ones that's engineer design, not Jason. So I understand that, but I just hope that everybody gets behind this man as who you pick and let him do his job. Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. So we have a motion and a second on the floor. Last call for questions. Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Councilmember McCurr?
No.
Councilmember Taylor?
No.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes. Thank you very much. All right, we have one last item. That's the city manager report.
Okay, so Florida Commerce, we had a meeting today to go over the requirements for the $22,248,529 grant. This is for the hardening of our sanitary sewer system. So this a large portion, we're going to analyze our sewer system. We're going to video it. We'll decide, it'll be a determination that's made by professional staff whether to line it or do point repairs. And if we don't need to do either, we won't do it. We're going to try to do this in sections, but this moves really fast. Our timeline for this grant is 3 years, so we need to move it along quickly. It's the team that we had a meeting with today was probably about seven people that we met with, and it was really good. It seems like they're cooperative and they're going to work with us. We have our marching orders in front. You will be updated on a frequent basis through email. We'll do reports on these grants, and it's my goal to get in front of you all the reporting so you can see exactly what level we're at, plus with like a checklist so we don't miss any steps. That's the goal. So we are moving hot and heavy with that. Also on the airport side of things, we had it was a turning lane, so we have a grant for turning lanes, and we're also going to be, it's an infrastructure improvement project, so we're going to be taking a roadway around the western portion of the airport. So that's already been appropriated. That's a 100% funded grant. We're moving along with that. We've opened communications back up with FDOT to try to get the security improvements. The security improvements were for the fencing. There's a part in there for the beacon light. I walked with Kimley Horn. We did go walk around the airfield, reviewing what plans that were already created and just basically coming back and then making sure that fit in with the scope. At the time, I was trying to take the water plant and put it outside of the city, but looking at all the access restrictions, not the city, of the airport, we're looking at all the access restrictions. I'm just going to keep it how it is, and we'll end up just having our card readers for the access points. So we did go out and look and see we went out and looked for quotes. It was the range of $64,000 and $53,000, high and low. So at the $64,000 mark, there was a quote that was submitted. I'm trying to find my notes here. Just kind of making me. All right, here's the quotes. Okay, I apologize. So the precision gate and security was $56,000. Preferred Gate Systems was $46,000, and Brooker Fence was $53,000. Now, these quotes had subscriptions associated with them. So Precision Gate we're going to use a local area network. That was the highest price quote. So if you all, I'm going to try to get FDOT to give us the money for that. It was some appropriation there. But if I cannot get them to give that to us, do you want me to move forward with trying to get the airport gate secured right away, or just wait for the process to work its way through, the grant process? I personally feel that we need to get it secured ASAP, and that also includes the pedestrian gate that was over by the terminal building.
Yep.
So would y'all like to proceed with the $56,243.04 quote from Precision Gate and Security? Is that something y'all want to do?
Yeah, I'll just ask Matt. I mean, do you see any connectivity issues with this gate system he's proposing, or?
No, we have plenty of connectivity on the water plant side because we've had underground cable going between the plant and the gate.
Mhm.
So just having the hardware there at the gate, getting that replaced and getting it fixed, I can make it work between there and
Yeah.
the plant. And we already have fiber at the plant now, so
great.
we'll be fine.
We
can
have
connect.
working security cameras currently and all that.
Yes, so we've got 3 of the cameras are back up. I've got 3 3 of them that were damaged. I've got the replacements already in. I need to do rewiring between the soffit and back end of the building at the terminal to catch 2 of the cameras, but we have functioning cameras. So we
Yeah.
have the fuel farm covered. We've got the inside of the terminal covered. So, and that's been since before break.
And
since our-
when this was tasked to Matt and his team, Jeremy, so they're the ones that got the quotes, because I wanted to ensure that everything worked with our security systems and that there was no safety issues or security protocols that were missed with the camera system. So the person that put that together was Matt. Thank you. Excellent job.
Thanks, Matt.
And that's where we're at. If you approve and you authorize me to enter into agreement with Precision Gate and Security, that would come out of the infrastructure funds. That's been the recommended pathway to go with that. I'd appreciate it if you can put
What's
a
the
motion
amount?
on the table.
What's the amount in question?
$56,243.04. I mean, this is an emergency basis. I mean, I can end up signing because it's an emergency, but
But, and you're talking about with regard to not having to bid it out.
we bid it out. But we bid it out to 3 companies.
That's a call out. That's not a bid.
So we had 3 companies. Yeah, we had 3 companies come out and give us prices, because I didn't just want to get one price and say it's an emergency and do it, but it's something we have to get done.
Well, let's talk about that later.
Okay, you want to hold on that?
Well, I think we need to check your procurement policy on that, because, I mean, a call out is when you call people and say, how much are you going to charge me for this? A bid is It's different. You're asking either for a request for qualifications or
No, it's-
request for bids or invitation to bids or request for proposals.
Yeah, it was on an emergency basis based off of proposals that was
Do
requested.
you think it fits the, I don't have the
Yeah,
procurement
yeah, I
policy in
think it-
front
I
of me,
think
but
it fits.
if it fits the emergency.
Yeah, I think it fits the emergency. That's why I'm bringing it. But I did want to get a baseline of where we were at for cost. I didn't just want to say 56,000. I sign it and I give you no alternatives. But this is the timeline on this. It needs to happen much sooner than later, and we need to get the airport secure. And that's not just my requirement. That's FDOT requirement, FAA requirement. So, and plus that goes to the standpoint of what we were talking about as far as like the personnel and looking to see who may be doing the wrong things or inside the airport. But with that, we will know exactly when that gate opens, when it closes, who did it open for. We'll have all that information, and we need that.
I'm fine as long as it fits your procurement.
Yeah, it's an emergency purchase. I just wanted to bring that up to you all.
I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I would just simply say try to get the grant to cover it, but if you can't, then we have to
Okay.
do it one way or another because it's obviously been a huge problem for us, and we certainly do not want another airplane fire at the airport or some other thing. So.
Okay. So it's just a question on a, okay. no
But
problem.
ultimately, I mean, is that something we'll need to vote on? I mean, we don't want to hear from one council person, so.
I think on emergency, I think the airport is very important to keep it secure. It's been unsecure for too long of a time, so I'm okay with the emergency situation. That's my opinion.
Anything,
We don't
Breeze?
get to see nothing. I mean, usually we get to see something.
That's correct.
Well, I mean, that's just the protocol.
Okay. I just gave you my opinion, that's it.
What would you like to see, Bernice?
Well, he said he called out 3 companies, right?
Mhm.
I would love to see what each one of them companies said. I would love to hold it in my hand or look at it on my screen and go by each one of them, what they offering, what they not offering. Isn't that what we do? Okay.
So you can wait.
Because just one of the reasons why I did it, because I can come back retroactively and do that on emergency, but that's why I
Okay.
brought it to y'all, just to be transparent of where we are.
Sure. Yes, sir.
Eric, 7998 West Main Street. The FAA has very strict guidelines on airport and airport access. So by having these gates open, you are opening yourselves up to serious liability there. I mean, that is the top priority, to get that secured. That would be the first thing I would do.
If it was top, he should have submitted it to us and let us went over it.
Yes, as
you
soon-
know,
as soon
on
as- soon as
Thursday.
someone knew.
On Thursday, we should, if it was that important, we should have had it on Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, as soon as someone knew that it was unsecured, I mean, it should have been brought up.
Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, so would it be an issue to submit it to us and bring it up next meeting?
Yeah, I can do that. I'll get them moving, and I'll come back for retroactive approval.
Okay, perfect.
And then have Mr. Bureau just double check, make sure.
Yeah, of course.
With the policy manual.
He would love
Permit
to.
policy. Yeah.
He's chomping at the bit right now. Anything else for the good of the city?
I have a question for Jason. Jason, when are you going to notify Schultz and Bowen of the decision that was made tonight?
Right now.
We'll go ahead, and we have to go give them their notice to proceed, and we have to enter into that agreement.
Is that gonna take place this week or next week, or that's, I guess that's what.
Well, it's usually like a 1 to 2 week process. Yeah.
Okay, I would like for you to inquire into the investigation complaints that was submitted by Dr. Kelly to the various departments around the state and report back to this council your findings as soon as possible. And if all possible, I would like to get it in email, that way it can be transparent. Because we haven't heard anything since Dr. Kelly left. And really hadn't heard a lot before that, so I would like to hear something back, whenever that happens to be.
So I got a question for you, Jerry, if possible. I have to work for 5 members of the council. I can just provide the report to them from what came back as far as with the ethics
Commission, and I guess that there was another, I think the council already received from the Attorney General. They received correspondence. Is that,
Yeah, and unless, like, I know there are some things that are considered confidential that the Ethics Commission does, unless they find probable cause, things like that you can't distribute. But, if you got a letter from Attorney General's office and then they didn't say anything about confidentiality, then that's a public record, yeah.
All the council did.
yeah, I think they've said that it's in their hands, and the way they got it, but the procedure is that it goes through the ethics that was sent out. Maybe Jerry can confirm. Is that accurate, Jerry?
Well,
Is that accurate?
that they generally don't do anything with regard to ethics. That's the Ethics Commission.
Right, so-
If the Ethics Commission come up with an issue that they can't resolve, with regard to enforcement, then they go to the Attorney General's.
So what was sent to the Attorney General was they shouldn't have came here in the first place, should just be in the ethics, right? So I would come back and,
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
what their procedures
Okay.
are. I'm just
Okay.
shooting from the hip here.
okay,
Well, whatever it says in the letter, you can just
Yeah.
forward the letter.
I'll forward the letter, no problem.
Send it to the ethics, like you said.
Will do.
Anything else for the good of the city?
I just have one comment for the record, please. At the end of December, the city clerk sent out an email to me, I believe to all the council members, to remind us that we needed to take our ethics sunshine class before the end of the year for 2025, and I took mine, and I understand exactly what it means to follow it, and I have. So for the record, I took the class and I'm certified.
As did I, and we received notice from city
Me
clerk.
too.
Yep.
Okay, so the contract that I'll put forward, I'll send it, I'll be in negotiation with Jerry,
Or the
city manager?
Yeah.
Job?
Yes.
Oh, do we have to talk about
Yeah.
the salary and
We'll
everything?
we'll deal with that,
Okay, thank you.
but it'll ultimately be approved by Brian.
Okay.
Very good. Last call. Anything else for the good of the city?
No, sir.
Seeing none, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, please.
Seeing no opposition, we are adjourned.
Thank you.